Welcome back, Commander. I am your host for this evening, Korak, and this is Kane's Wrath on the map Tournament Highlands. Starts off over on the left-hand side of the map wearing the yellow robe, sporting the GDI gloves. Give it up for Senna. His opponent for the moment on the right-hand side of the map wearing the cyan robe, sporting the black hand gloves. Here is Futuarma. Both fighters ready. Begin. Welcome back, Commander. This is the IES Tournament. We're going to do a couple in this series. There should be 3 sets of matches, 3 sets of rounds for 6 particularly different commanders. Starting us off, like we said before, is Futuarma and Senna. And most importantly, we have a sponsor. This map is sponsored by Tiberium flavored energy gel, because nothing says peak performance like licking a rock that gives you cancer. We are in the early sharking phase of the game. Everybody's going to be poking and prodding and expanding to their natural expansions, grabbing their Tiberium spikes and preparing their combinations. I don't get to see a crazy amount of GDI and Black Hand really until this tournament, as in like head-to-head. Usually I get to see Black Hand into a couple of other things. Maybe that's just my luck of the draw, not that it's not a super common 1v1 group to go with. GDI is the powerhouse and Black Hand does get used quite often. I'm just particularly lucky or unlucky when it comes to seeing those matches. First foxhole is out here by Senna inside Futurama's base. Watchtower is out killing the scouts of Futurama. Things are still staying pretty slow with that foxhole there. What's most important, though, is that he's going to be able to see if anything sneaky is coming his way. Senna doesn't want anything unusual. He wants to make it as high as possible and get as many wins as possible in order to get that high prize pool in this tournament. I believe the first place winner makes about 350, but even the second and third place winners do make a decent amount for a game as old as Command & Conquer. I'm sure there's been prize pools that have been much larger, but this is not a bad prize pool, especially for the number of players. Bike and Buggy is out for Futurama. Futurama getting rid of that foxhole, getting rid of those infantry inside of his base. Not a bad decision. We've got a couple of pit bulls. I don't know where the rest of them went for Senna, unless he only has the 2 so far. 2 can be enough to slow this assault, can move its way in. Futurama being the first to grab his set of blue Tiberium in the south. Senna not doing the same in the north for the moment. Pit bulls moving their way in. We've actually got a good number. We got 5 pit bulls, 6 pit bulls here ready for a fight with Futurama, but not electing to take it just quite yet. A bit heavy on the Raider Buggy side of the Bike and Buggy combination for Futurama, but he probably has a plan for that. I guess if he is expecting these pit bulls, those would be able to absorb a good chunk of damage. He's going to have transition rather quickly because we are already getting a set of Predator tanks I saw somewhere at some point. Yeah, there it is, APCs and Predator tanks. I wouldn't be surprised if we get AP ammo, and I think that it is on the horizon. I don't think he's going to go railguns just quite yet. That AP ammo is going to be super useful. Pitbulls moving their way in on the Tiberium spike of Futurama, trying to get that early victory. If this is going to turn into a slugfest, killing that will help him out immensely. Raider Buggy moves its way in, and it's going to see that there are Predator tanks, that there are several amounts of forces on his front lawn. Bike and Buggy moving their way in, noticing the incoming bombing run by the Orcas. Orcas probably aiming for one of the harvesters, but most importantly, going to be aiming for a little bit of scouting. Bike and Buggy get pushed out in the center as a Hammerhead does come out. The transitions are here, and they are quick for both players. Hammerhead's probably going to get taken out here rather quickly. I see, yep, there goes. Hammerhead does finally get taken down at the cost of at least 1 bike. Senna's forces are developing quite nicely here in the center construction yard here on the front lines, but it is by itself. We do have a couple of SAM turrets. We do have a laser fence out, but I'm not sure how much that's going to be. There's a couple of man spam here, couple of Cabal Confessor squads, but not enough to start this assault. Futuarma is in danger. He needs something to deal with this. He needs something to take this out, and that is why he's behind on the forces. He did get a Redeemer engineering facility out on the deal. He does have the tech. He does have the obelisk. He does have the upgraded shredder turrets, and they are going to be doing just like the name says on the tin. Handed mod comes out. Probably some man spam here in a minute, but Senna so far is prepared for that. Bike and Buggy moving their way in, trying desperately to protect the harvesters of Futuarama. Those are going to be his definite lifeline. He's going to need those. Redeemer is about halfway, and Futuarama cannot get that Redeemer out quick enough. He's going to need that as quickly as possible. APC's attacking in the north as the main assault by Senna finally gets pushed out of the base of Futuarama. Futuarama somehow coming out on top of that, not losing a crazy amount. I think losing a harvester there in the north and maybe a couple of harvesters there in the south, having to force off a little bit of a sell-off though of a couple of those defenses that he did not want to get. There is the sound of the Redeemer. He is ready. There is a sell-off of the facility, saving him a little bit of cash. Senna not paying attention that there are a couple of rocket squads in here getting some free APC kills. There's probably more important things to do it. More APCs with their AP ammo. Words are hard. Taking out a couple of these SAM turrets, but it's not going to be enough as Futuarama pushes him out of the center of the map. We do have our first set of Juggernauts, and we do have a Marv getting ready to move in on the center. Senna is hurt, but he is not out of this fight yet, and he's still ready to go blow for blow with Futuarama. There is the decoy army here on the defense, but they get killed by the watchtower just as quickly as they pop out. But now they know that there are behemoths on the horizon, that there is a Marv with 2 engineers on the horizon, but the man spam is here to take it out, and if they're not careful, they will lose this Marv. Marv is already close to half HP. There's the one click by the GDI faction getting a good chunk of damage on these man spam, but I'm not sure how much it's going to matter as the Marv gets taken down even further. It is almost knocked out of this fight. It's barely gotten to Marvis really anything whatsoever. Redeemer moving its way forward, but it looks like the Marv might just get saved barely in time, and I say that it looks like Futuarama has moved into the northern expansion of this area, has moved in this further into the center of the map, and is beginning to put more and more stuff on the front line, like these SAM turrets to deal with the hammerheads. Marv is still having to force its way out while the Redeemer has full HP and is up and raring to go. Plenty of watchtowers, plenty of destroyed juggernauts as this assault by Futuarama is continuing. Second wave of infantry now moving their way in, but there are plenty of watchtowers here to absorb the damage. Marv is slowly recovering over time, but Senna is not able to get a hold on this area just quite yet. Neither is Futuarama, but Futuarama is still building up over there in the background. His construction yard is all but stuck here, and we actually have 2 obelisks out in the front yard. Senna is not done. Oh no, something was actually able to get the Marv. I think the 2 obelisks were able to take him out rather quickly. Juggernauts are making relatively good work of that, but their damage is done. Killing that Marv is got to hurt. Losing that high tier unit has got to hurt. Redeemers down to half HP. And somehow these Juggernauts have stayed in the fight. Juggernauts could be the linchpin to Senna's strategy to help him with that. And we actually have some flame tanks over here by Futuarama. Futuarama is not sitting idly by. He's destroyed the majority of the infrastructure of Senna. Senna has a mass fire cell and throws in the GG. He did not see those flame tanks, just like I did not see those flame tanks coming in, giving Futuarama the wins. So far, this is heating up, Commander. I'm excited for round number 2. I'll see you there. There you are, Commander. I don't know how to say this, but I feel like there is a rift between you and I. A Tiberium rift. No, nothing. Worth a shot. Over on the left-hand side, we do have Futuarama keeping on his cyan stain with his black hand. We were able to see an amazing performance for his black hand earlier. It was super great to see, but also equally great to see, we have Senna over here still rocking his GDI, still rocking his yellow. I'm absolutely ecstatic after the last round, after that last match between the two, to see what they're going to do here. There was so much action action-packed into that one little fight. I was definitely enjoying it as a caster and a viewer myself. They do start off just a little bit slow, but it does build up relatively quickly. Do have our first set of harvesters out for Futuarma. Senna is right there with him. He's got 2 harvesters out on the field. I believe they go to 4 and then go into their expansion, maybe 5 and then into their expansion. That's something I'm gonna have to watch just a little bit closer in a couple more of these games to learn what is the optimal amount of harvesters before you move to your expansion, and that probably changes from map to map. Garrison units are going to take a couple of pot shots at Futurama's Tiberium spike. Nothing major, but it is going to be a little bit of scouting, and it is going to be annoying, and it will cost him a little bit of money if he wants to repair it later on, especially if he leaves it alone. GDI does like to do that, whether they garrison, whether they pop in a pillbox, they just sit there inside your base or sit somewhere and get a little bit of scouting done. Senna does not actually have a scout. He does not have a pillbox inside of Futurama's base. Maybe he thinks that Futurama would see that coming, but I don't know, people get it off on players like BikeRush, so it's not entirely possible. I say that he ungarrisoned these troops, and I'm assuming going to move into Futurama's base here in a minute. Maybe he was doing some macro further back home. Sell off of the tower, gets these Cabal squads as the infantry engages one another, and Senna's not able to get his foxhole off, not able to get his pillbox off in order to stop that. And we get our first little scouts moving into Senna's base from Futurama. Watchtower does pop out and kills them relatively quickly. Confessor Cabal squads are here. Nothing to take them out just quite yet. There is a singular Pitbull, but he's only going to be able to do so much to those units. There's a Watchtower that is going to actually be able to deal some damage to those Confessor Cabal squads, and they do get taken out rather unceremoniously. Futurama is the first to grab the blue Tiberium. I believe he was also the first to grab the blue Tiberium in the previous match. That could be why he was able to tech up faster than Senna. I don't think it mattered a crazy amount, but every little bit helps when you are pretty evenly matched with your opponent. Senna's not someone I get to watch too often, so I don't know where he sits in the hierarchy. I know we usually get a lot of really good games out of a player like Futurama, so I'm always excited to see him on the roster, to see him in the brackets, going for a couple of these fights back and forward. And he, honestly, I think I've probably learned the most from him, if not learned a good, healthy amount, specifically from MasterLeaf, just seeing some of their weird, unique strategies that kind of work. I think Futurama's probably more standardized, at least when it comes to what he wants to do. It seems like he's got a couple of strategies that he sticks to with a few different variations here and there. I'm not saying he's got a limited strategic set or anything like that. I'm just saying that he usually sticks to his guns and finds a way to get those particular combinations to work, at least from what I've observed. I'd be happy to know down in the comments if Senna does, or not Senna, if Futurama does see this. I'm not even sure if he actually speaks English, because from what I understand, he is Ukrainian. But if he does ever pop his way in and wants to give me some insight into his thinking in some of these matches, that would be super great. I do need to sit down at some point and ask MasterLeaf if he wants to do a duo cast and maybe get BikeRush or just some players in here from time to time in general to get something other than just color commentary. Decoy army moving in and getting destroyed relatively quickly, and all of these infantry by Futurama are going to get destroyed by this crazy amount of APCs. No AP ammo just quite yet. Senna moving into his natural expansion. Hammerhead is out to deal with the Black Hand and is going to be a good thing later on. I don't think we got to see too many Hammerheads against Futurama in that last one. I think he did a pretty decent job of taking it out, of taking the Hammerheads out when they came his way. Futurama still being the only one to grab blue Tiberian. I think he's gotten 2 harvesters fill the blue Tiberian. Actually, we missed a little bit of a bike and buggy combination, moving their way into Senna's base, but getting crushed just as soon as they arrived because the reinforcements just happened to get lucky. Man spam moving their way in, taking a couple of pot shots at this Hammerhead, are going to be able to take it out, but the The APCs with AP ammo, that is a mouthful, did take out the man spam. Futuarma is dwindling and losing forces left and right. He lost a good chunk of his bike and buggy. He's lost 2 chunks of man spam. There is more man spam here, but they're in the north. And actually, Futuarma is moving into the secondary natural expansion of Senna with a base rush. He's got an obelisk out. He's got a whole bunch. He's got a hand of nod on the front line, producing infantry, and a crazy amount of infantry are building up. Hammerhead after Hammerhead does get taken down by these rocket squad. Shredder turrets with upgrades are here as the full force of Senna is here in effect. Redeemer is halfway there. Senna needs to stop that because that can turn this fight absolutely wrong. Around obelisk is out. More and more defenses are there. Hand and nod comes out for the block, and this Redeemer has stopped production. It is so close, but yet so far away. It is half HP. It needs to get that money going. The Redeemer engineering facility is halfway done. It's a race to get this unit out. The sell-off does happen, but Futuarama was not able to get the amount of money that he should have from that. This base rush actually ended up being a fail. The forces of Senna were just too ready, and they were just there too early to deal with this. Even though there were a couple of obelisks, even though there was a good chunk of units out there, it was not enough to stop it. 2-handed odds pop out, 1 obelisk goes down, another obelisk goes up. Futuarama is going full send into this, although if he can win this, he can start stifling the economy of his opponent. That's probably what he wants to do rather as quickly as possible. Senna electing to back his way out, moving his forces away as a couple of units like a Juggernaut move their way in are going to try and take a couple of good smacks at these obelisk. Hammerheads moving their way in right now. They are uncontested. There's only a couple of rocket squads as Senna moves into Futurama's old main base. There are a couple of defenses here for obviously the defense, but I'm not sure how it's going to be. Futurama is split between this assault and the defense. More and more shredder turrets coming out, and they are going to be able to start dwindling down the forces of Senna. Sell off of something in the north, damage to the construction yard over here. The assault continuing over on Futurama's natural expansion shredder turret after shredder turret popping their way out, but these forces are just refusing to die. T3 gets spotted. A bunch of infrastructure for Futurama that is very critical for him does get spotted. T3 does get sold off. Power plant does get sold off. I'm sorry, not power plant. Secret Shine does get sold off. Units begin to move their way in. Is this going to be Futurama finally getting rid of the forces of Senna? Although he's not done because he's attacking from 2 different areas. Sonic Emitter is out for Senna, and I think Senna has this one in the bag. This is his game to lose. He just seems to be absolutely on top of it, and Futurama tends to agree. He threw in the towel. He called in the GG. Senna was just absolutely on top of this, bringing our score to 1-1. Futurama and Senna getting points off on each other, going blow for blow with each other. Round 3 is definitely going to heat up. I'll see you there. Here we are in round 3 on the map, Badland Hills. Over on the left-hand side, we have Futurama still rocking his cyan, still rocking his black hand, and we still have Senna in his yellow, still in his GDI faction. So far, they have gone blow for blow. They have both grabbed a point off of one another, and they've been able to sort of find some really great purchases, get some good strategies going. Futurama did try something pretty aggressive like you saw in that last one. Maybe that will temper how he feels, how he does in this fight. However, Blackhand and Nod specifically do like to do their sneaky maneuvers, like popping an operations center out and maybe getting a Reckoner here in a minute, or maybe a flame tank. But most importantly, Senna is going to see that the operations center is out and that whatever's coming out is heading its way out. There it is. There is the flame tank. Senna's gonna know it's there. Senna's gonna see it coming. Hopefully Futurama can get something done with that, even despite the fact that Senna has seen it. I have seen Futurama pull off a couple of maneuvers like that, where he moves his bike and buggy in and forces his opponents to look somewhere in a particular direction. Can he pull that over on Senna, though, is the real question. Senna has shown that he can very easily go blow for blow against Futuarma. Pitbull going to see this flame tank, and the flame tank is going to be exposed. Most importantly, Senna's going to see it coming. First little bit of damage there. Bikes moving their way in to protect this flame tank, and most importantly, Predator tanks are here for the assault. Predator tanks are here to deal with the flame tank. They are going to be a good answer for that as the flame tank reverse moves, as the flame tank nopes its way out of there. But there is actually a secondary flame tank here. Bikes moving in to support it, and we actually get a Guardian Cannon starting to deal some damage to the flame tank, but the flame tank does not care. He's going to take out the... No, he's going to leave the Guardian Cannon alone. That's going to be a critical mistake. He does almost die from it. Flame tank moving his way in, and if he's not careful, he's going to die to this Predator tank over here, and he gets almost no damage dealt whatsoever with that flame tank. That was extremely unfortunate. He just stopped firing, just shy of destroying that defensive structure, of destroying that turret. Wasn't able to get it to where he wanted it to. Black Hand squads are going to take out the Tiberium Spike of Senna. Small consultation prize, but it will make a difference if this turns into a slogfest. Predator tank shooting at absolutely nothing but doing its best as Senna moves two Predator tanks into the natural expansion of Futuarma. Nothing really to deal with him just quite yet. Futuarma did spend a good chunk of money on those flame tanks, on that operations center, and on that assault, so he does not have too much here for the defense. Construction yard taking a decent amount of damage. APCs are out here to deal with the Black Hand squads. Senna did use them to great effect in the last game, and he's using them to great effect right here. He does have a singular rifleman squad here garrisoned in, and that is going to be enough to take it out. But actually, another flame tank has moved its way in, and it's going for the Tiberium Spike of Senna. Maybe Futuarma is predicting that this is going to turn into a longer game than it may appear. It would be nice to see something that stretches on just a little bit past maybe the 15-minute mark with this match, especially because that would give Futuarma a couple of gains. And actually, are there 3 Tiberium Spikes here for every player? I know he destroyed one near the base, and then one for... We just saw another one get destroyed, and Flame Tank Storm is just sitting here. Please, Futuarma, notice you're going to die here in a second if you don't start taking out the Tiberium Spike, and that Flame Tank's going to prove a little bit useless. Futuarma does notice they're right in the end, but is it going to be in time? Orca's moving their way in, going to bomb this Flame Tank, and he does get it, but just barely as an assault continues. Futuarma moving a couple of bike and buggies into Senna's base. Senna is ready on the defense with the Predator tanks, but Futuarama is at the front doorstep of his opponents. A couple of Predator tanks are going to die to a little bit of the man spam of Black Hand, a little bit of the man spam of Futuarama. So far, those units are uncontested for the moment, as the lion's shares of the units for Senna are moving their way south as the assault for Futuarama has begun. Does he have the forces to take it out? The AP ammo is here for Senna, so that is going to make a big difference. It is going to help these hammerheads. It is going to help the APCs, and it is going to help the watchtowers. I don't think Futuarama has the forces for this just yet, and I believe his forces died in the south. No, they actually decided to garrison themselves, but either way, this assault is all but done here in the south. Senna did take some damage to his units, but nothing to his infrastructure. Garrison structure does get its way, or does get destroyed, forcing the units out as the Predator tank is pretty close to dead. Senna actually doing a better job this time around of grabbing his blue Tiberium, and now Senna's going for a bit of revenge on the Tiberium Spike of Futuarama. Possibly sensing a longer game, hopefully incoming. Predator tank taking a couple of pot shots at that unit, and it does look like we're going to get a dead Tiberium Spike. Bikes and buggies moving their way in, but that's not going to be enough to deal with all of this armor from GDI. And most importantly, they also have a Shatterer, which is going to do a good chunk of damage to these infantry units. Hammerhead squads are going to get shot at. Hammerhead squads are going to go down. Shatterer is going to get another shot off as the secondary Shatterer moves their way in. And I'm not sure if Futurama's paying attention. He just sends those Raider buggies to their death. He was not watching that whatsoever as the assault begins, as Senna moves into Futurama's base. Can Futuarama stop this assault? He had a pretty hard time last time dealing with Senna's assault, dealing with Senna's armor the last time, and it looks like he's having a hard time this time. He's losing his old main base. Sam turret is all but down, and shredder turrets are here, but I don't think the shredder turrets have any upgrades. These shatterers doing a good job of wiping up a chunk of the forces of his opponent, absolutely chunking these defenses, destroying the Sam turret, and I believe Futuarma has all but lost this old main base. Couple of orcas moving their way in, gonna get some bonus damage. There is the first obelisk out, and is going to take a shatter out as soon as it pops its way up. Flame tank gonna get destroyed and pushed into the south. It does sound like we have a Marv by Senna. Senna was not sitting idly by when doing this assault. He was dealing some damage to Futuarma, and most importantly, he was getting his tech up and ready to go. That Tiberium field in the south is all but depleted anyways, but losing that infrastructure is gotta hurt. Senna's still going for a bit of revenge, trying to catch up in the Tiberium spike race since he has lost all of his Tiberium spikes. He's trying to do the same to his opponent. Shatter are going to get a couple of free shots, but it doesn't matter as a rocket squad takes it out there at the end, giving it a little bit of rank. Raider buggies moving their way in, getting a little bit of scout. Going to see that Senna has transitioned into these juggernauts. That is going to be a good thing to know. Hopefully he will be able to find some sort of defense. Marv moving its way into the center of the map. Marv is seeing what resources it can, has 2 engineers in it and a couple other forces for it right now. I'm not sure if the Marv can take this out by itself, although if it can get a crush off, and never mind, take it back. There are the hammerheads for the defense as the Marv just marves its way through the infantry of Futuarma. Futuarma not looking in a good spot right now as his third Tiberium spike, his final Tiberium spike, goes down in the south. The resources that they gather are the resources that they have, as in there's no additional support from Tiberium spikes for either player. GDI does have the Marv, which is going to continue harvesting the secondary natural expansion of Futurama, so Futurama needs to do something quick. There are the orcas for the scout as they're going to hit a refinery, and I think they actually got a harvester. It was hard to tell there. I couldn't quite see what was going, but Senna's assault's actually not done as he's still killing little bits of infrastructure over here. Sell off of the war factory happens in the south, low power mode in the north. There is a power plant finally to replace that. Senna is tightening up his defenses right now. Defensive tower in the south is going to get taken out as Senna moves into the center of the map, controlling that. There is the Redeemer that is going to be a big help for Futurama to retake the center of the map. Marv has done a very good job of harvesting the majority of Futurama's natural expansion. Futurama's got to be starting to hurt on cash. No, I take it back. There's a fair amount of Tiberium left here for him, and he's got a good, healthy amount of man spam here if they can move their way to the center in the time, but I think it might be too little too late. This Marv has already done a good job destroying the majority of this field. The only thing Futurama's got to look forward to is, and that is a lot of juggernauts. The only thing Futurama has to look forward to is trying to defeat Senna over here, but that's going to be hard to do with a Marv and an absolute line of juggernauts up and raring to go. Harvester is going to get a little bit of scouting out, so Futurama is going to fully see that that is there and that is ready to go. Hand a nod on the front line, and we've got a bit of shredder turrets on the front line as well, but it doesn't matter because the Juggernaut's going to be able to take a couple of free shots at that from a distance. That artillery unit is going to put a good chunk of damage on all of this. What was left of that original assault is still going on. There is a single Shatterer and a single Predator tank left dealing with the infrastructure of Senna. Orca's going to get destroyed before they can really do anything, but they are going to get a good scout of all of this man spam. Units have begun to spread their way out, but it doesn't matter because the hammerheads are here and they're going to eat from right to left, and they're going to destroy as many of them as they possibly can. We don't have a crazy amount other than a few of these mantis to deal with that. They do get finally pushed out. There is the one click by the GDI faction hitting a good chunk of these units right here, and forces of Futurama are looking anemic. I think Senna has this one in bag. How are you going to deal with all of those juggernauts? I'm not sure. You may have a good chunk of units left, but there are hammerheads here to wipe all of this out. Rage Shin is going to pop its way out, dealing nominal damage to the forces of Senna. Senna was more focused on destroying his opponent. A couple of rocket squads are here, and they're going to be able to take some good shots at probably a Harvester. Not the best thing to do, but that is easy to say from this perspective. And that Shatter is still going on Futurama's base. I'm not sure he has too much left in the gas tank. He's got to be hurting. He's lost a good chunk of units. His Redeemer is hurting, and there it is. He's thrown in the towel, giving Senna another round, moving us on to the next match. Welcome to Battle Base Beaverton. This map is brought to you by non-flavored toothpaste. 9 out of 10 dentists don't recommend. And the 10th was never seen from again. The scouting phase is here in full effect for both Senna, for Futurama. Futurama still over in the cyan in the top right-hand corner of the map, hanging on to his black hand. Senna in the south, of course, hanging on to his yellow, and of course, holding on to his GDI. Battle Base Beaverton is... I don't know how it is to play on. I am happy to see it in this rotation, and of course I'm a gigantic fan of it because it has a massive amount of the forklifts, which are definitely hands down my favorite. And I think it's just quite a pretty map to play. I don't know how the players feel about it. It does feel like it could be potentially bunched up, but there's plenty of long passageways for people to run through. There's a center to control, which I think is fairly interesting, but maybe it doesn't break down that far from the player perspective. I am kind of curious why I don't see maps like Battle Base Beaverton as much as, I don't know, I would like. I think the color palette could use some work, but it looks like it's kind of just meant to be a nod base, a heavy nod base. Futurama being the first to grab a set of blue Tiberium here in the center. Senna moving into his second, or his one and only natural expansion. Maybe that's why some of the players don't like it, although it is quite a large natural expansion to move into. And I think you start off with a rather large amount. So you start with a good chunk of Tiberium, and then you move into a good chunk of Tiberium, and then you have the blue, 2 sets of blue Tiberium here in the center. Senna's still not grabbing his blue Tiberium, but what do I know? Because he's been able to get some really good wins off on Futurama, still ignoring that Tiberium. So that strategy does seem to be working for him, even against a player like Senna. 2 hands and nod out. We got a secret shrine, and we don't see any bike and buggy this time. That may not be a bad idea, because the bike and buggy were only able to do, I don't know, nominal damage in the last couple of fights, in the last couple of rounds. We didn't see a crazy amount because of the APCs, because of the armor of everything. And we actually got a couple of pitbulls moving here trying to take out these bikes. Bikes do go down, and most importantly, this Harvester is exposed. This is going to be enough to take them out. Cabal Cavester squads are starting to deal some damage, and they're going to push these pitbulls out. It does look like those bikes were able to do a bit more damage than I originally anticipated. One of them almost being taken out. Futurama continuing the assault, continuing his way to his opponent, and most importantly actually has a good chunk of man spam out and ready to go, moving into the natural expansion of Senna. There is our first APC, probably AP ammo, not too far behind this. I'm not sure. Yep, there it is right there. AP ammo is probably about halfway. I doubt he would grab anything else. That AP ammo has been worth its weight in gold in this map. Futurama has begun his assault on the natural expansion of his opponent as a single APC goes down, and a Harvester may just barely survive there at the end, but most importantly, Senna is not able to harvest. This is going to slow him down. There's a good chunk of man spam here. Watchtowers are out. AP ammo is still not here just quite yet. That may have been it right there. Yes, there it is. There's the AP ammo right on cue, right on time, but will it be enough to stop Futuarma from continuing his assault? There's a good chunk of rocket squads here left, and they're moving forward and getting more kills left and right. Another watchtower goes up, another watchtower gets sold in the background as Senna continues this defense, and as Futuarma loses this assault over here. Hopefully he was able to find the damage that he needed here. I'm not sure if he was able to get a harvester. He did stop some harvesting for some time, but it's a cost effect thing. He did send 2 groups with 2 hands of Nod to the south in order to fight that, in order to deal with that. Forces of Senna are going to get spotted by the garrison troops inside the center of the map. That is a really good spot to hold, especially for Black Hand to be able to pop their way in. It's you're going to be able to see Senna coming, and it seems like a couple of times that the armor that has rolled into Senna's base has been able to maybe not take Futuarma by surprise, but Futuarma hasn't had the answer to it when Senna has come marching on Futurama's front doorstep. Words are hard. Cabal Covester squads are going to see this harvester, but they're going to be able to do nominal damage as the blue Tiberium gets absorbed by Senna, finally grabbing his little bit of blue Tiberium. But Futuarma is going to be here to try to grab at least some of it. It's not going to be worth the trip, but at least he's going to deny it from his opponent. Cabal Covester squad's getting killed by these APCs with AP ammo. Speaking of APCs, they are moving in on the forces of Futuarma, beginning the assault over there and taking out more and more forces of the Black Hand faction. This is not looking particularly great for Futuarma. He keeps losing these little sets of units with very, very little gains. Granted, the units are a bit cheaper than a couple of the other factions, and he keeps trying these strategies to get a couple of things here and there. Maybe he's going to grab a Tiberium spike there. He is going for that, but that is a small consolation prize to losing all of those forces, but he can get them up relatively quickly. He keeps poking around looking for a hole inside his opponent. There is the construction yard. It was found out. Obelisk is out here for the defense, and probably a second Obelisk up and ready to go. APC after APC is going to get absolutely rocked by this. There's the Shredder turrets with the upgrades. We've seen the Shredder, another set of Shredder turrets here. Between the hand and nod, between the obelisk, between the Shredder turrets, they're going to be able to do just like the name says on the tin and kill a good chunk of the armor, a good chunk of the APCs of his opponent as Futuarma continues his assault, continues his march into Senna's secondary natural first natural expansion and only natural expansion on Battle Base Beaverton. Forces for Futuarma are beginning to amass, as well as Senna over here. I'm not sure if Futuarama was able to get a good chunk of kills on the infrastructure over there. And Reclamator Hub is actually going to get spotted by these infantry, so he's going to know that they are on their way. There does appear to be a couple of Shatterers here wiping out the units of his opponent. Flame Tank is going to get spotted and pushed into the old main base of Senna, but it doesn't matter because Senna's already done a bit of a fire cell. And we're getting the body blocks over here by power plants as the obelisk goes up and more damage. There is the body block of the barracks, but it doesn't matter. That Juggernaut still goes down. All the same APCs are moving their way in. Laser fences are getting their way popped back up. Obelisk is trying its best it can to destroy that tech lab. That would be super great for him, slowing him down. Second obelisk, third obelisk is here on the front line, and it is a full-on base rush here for Futuarama. Futuarama doing a good chunk of damage, killing the tech lab, killing the harvesters, killing the base of Senna, and hopefully irking out a win here any moment. Garrison troops are occupying the APCs over there, and the APCs need to be here on the front line. They need to be dealing with these obelisks that are absolutely wrecking the infrastructure. Another obelisk goes up. Futuarama has decided units aren't working, but you know what will work? These obelisks. And obelisk destroys harvester after harvester, slowing down the economy of Senna. He's got to be hurting right now. He's down to a couple of harvesters and only 2 refineries here in the south, plus his main base is absolutely absorbed. Shredder turrets come out to deal with more of the watchtowers. More and more Shredder turrets are here on the front line. Obelisk is still continuing his assault as the Predator tank goes down. War Factory is still producing a couple of forces. Shredder turret is here to start dealing damage to, Shatterer is still here to deal damage to these Shredder turrets, but it's too little too late. And there it is, Futuarama able to irk out a victory right there at the end with a base rush, mixing things up. bringing us, I believe, to 2-2. Each player grabbing a point off of one another. I will see you in the next match, Commander. Here we are on Tournament Dust Bowl. Over in the north, we have Futuarma still rocking his cyan, hanging on to his black hand, and also holding on to his color, and also holding on to his GDI faction. We have Senna in the south. No reason for them to change just yet. Their strategies are working, and each time they play a match, they think, I could have done this, or I could have done that. There's always that little bit coming, making them come back for their particular faction. They're probably pretty practiced in their picked factions, and they probably practiced it coming up to this event, although it was kind of sprung on people sort of kind of last minute by Green Zero, but we are and have, and I guess we'll continue to get a couple of really good consistent matches. I think the only one that's really been off their game that I don't normally get to see off their game is MasterLeaf. And MasterLeaf said that he's not always the most consistent player. I don't know if that's because sometimes he's just not able to play, or if he just likes his weird strategies from time to time. Pitbull for Senna moving inside of Futurama's base, being a pest, doing a little bit of damage. Futurama has not done the same to his opponent. A scout has not made his way over there, but one spot he is making his way over to is his first natural expansion. First Raider Buggy is here, and it's gonna start taking a couple little bitty pot shots at the Pitbull, and I think he might actually be able to get the kill here. No, he does. I guess he's not paying attention to it just quite yet. Pitbull able to get a couple of good rockets off here and there, but Futurama wanting to get the kill. There it is. He does grab it. Raider Buggy is at half HP, but most importantly, it is not dead, and most importantly, that Pitbull is dead. Foxhole here to get the scouting on his opponent and to deal some damage to these harvesters, mostly just to be a pest to Futurama and to get a little bit of scouting, as we see time and time again. Natural expansion is being developed now by Senna. He's a little bit behind Futurama on that curve. I think he's only got, there is the third harvester moving its way over there. Futurama has a fourth harvester moving on to his, and 3 harvesters at his old main base, with Senna having a bit more at his main base. Looks like 5. Yeah. Buggies moving their way in, trying to flush out that foxhole, trying to get rid of the scouting, and most importantly, the damage to the harvesters. Another refinery pops its way out, developing and rounding out the natural expansion for Futurama rather quite nicely. Pitbull's moving into the center, taking a couple of pot shots at the Garrison Confessor Ball squads, and they're going to take a good amount of damage for it. One with a little bit of dinks here and there, another one about almost half HP. Confessor Ball squads cannot pick a shot, but maybe they're not trying to. Maybe they are just trying to soften it up for some forces to move in. And speaking of forces moving in, here are the bike and buggies going their way, down to the south over here, possibly going to flush out this garrison squad, but Senna's going to see that coming because of those garrisoned units. The secondary natural expansion on this map is quite a weird one in my opinion. You start here, move your way here, and move your way north. Or if you're Futurama, in this case, you move your way south. Nobody has even put anything near that area. Pitbull's moving their way in, maybe trying to force an engagement to have these Predator tanks up and ready to go. No APCs out just quite yet for Senna. Senna just building a little bit of his armor, but I take it back. There are the APCs. I'm assuming we're going to get, actually we're getting some early hammerheads once again. Shatterers popping their way out. He did find amazing purchases in that. Futurama is going to see with his garrison units the armor here in the center. APCs are here to back up these units. Predator tank almost going down to those rocket squads, but just barely able to survive. Futurama getting ready to do a bit of sneaky assault as a good, healthy amount of these bikes move their way in. Confessor Ball Squad does get spotted. Bikes do get spotted, and they push their way out. Man Spam is moving here in the center, trying to get a couple of shots off on the Predator tanks, hopefully trying to free up a little bit of gap for those bikes to make their way in, but I'm not sure it's going to matter. It looks like Futurama has given up on that plan for the time being. We haven't seen him be able to get amazing purchases yet with his bike and buggy, so maybe we'll get to see a little bit of a change here. But the armor for Senna is moving their way in, destroying the bike and buggy combination here rather unceremoniously. Futuarma is going to lose a good chunk of his forces before anything even really happens. Senna has just once again rolled his way through his opponent's armor, rolled his way through those bike and buggy combination. I think it's kind of liberal, or I think it's a liberal use of the word to call it a set of armor, but it is what it is. They are rather light units as Senna pokes his way around, looking for maybe a more favorable spot to move his way in. And we do get a couple of Shredder turrets here at the secondary natural expansion, preparing the defense, but most importantly, Senna's going to see that he is developed here, and he is on this natural expansion. More and more defenses are going to pop their way out as the forces of Futuarma begin to slowly crawl their way over there. Obelisk is out, Shredder turrets are out, and Futuarma using this strategy once again to take out the armor of his opponent. APC after APC gets taken down, and that's going to be super helpful because these APCs do have that AP ammo. Juggernaut is moving his way forward, and unfortunately I think he's about to end up in a pretty precarious spot. Getting close to these Black Hand squads would be extremely unfortunate for him. Black Hand squad, there it is, going to see the Juggernaut move its way in as Futuarma is actually pushing Senna back, and Futuarma is the first to develop his secondary natural expansion. And I don't know, yeah, no, that is the Marv I heard for Senna. Senna's actually moved his way into this area of the map, into the secondary natural expansion. I guess somehow I missed that. Yeah, there's the construction yard. It looks like we might get a base race on top of a base race. Redeemer is just a little bit behind the Marv. It's got about halfway to go, 50%. Juggernaut is going to start taking out the SAM turrets, preparing, softening up targets when and where he can. Got a couple of zone troopers here and ready to go. Reclamator Hub, I'm sorry, is producing a couple of Juggernauts for the front line. That's going to be super helpful when these units move in. Sonic Emitter versus Obelisk of Light here, but I think the Obelisk is going to come out on top. Marv moving in to get a little bit of harvesting done, but getting it pushed out by all of these units. There are two Juggernauts here to help support, but there are no more real APCs left for it. Sonic Emitter is going to take a couple of really good shots off at these Shredder turrets, and is going to get a couple of really good shots before it goes down. Gets one wave into all of this man spam, but it's not enough as the construction yard starts to go down for Senna. Senna's going to lose that here any moment there. There it is. It goes down. A couple of watchtowers come out just as it dies. Marv is going to start mopping up more and more of this infantry, but I'm not sure if it's going to matter. Losing that 3,500 for that construction yard is going to sting. Obelisk is going to get destroyed. The answer for the Obelisk is definitely these Juggernauts if he can protect them. Marv is moving his way in to Futurama's base, into Futurama's field, trying to harvest up a couple of those resources, but does elect to reverse move his way out of there. The long distance harvester does get taken down. Marv gets a little bit of a crush and continues its reverse move. That's a good call. Redeemer is moving its way on the Juggernauts. That is your primary threat. Killing those would be super, super helpful, or at the very least, if the Redeemer can head off this Marv and possibly hit it in the background. Oh no, the Juggernauts have actually stopped for Senna. Senna's not paying attention to his Juggernauts, and he's going to lose them if he's not careful here. One is already down to half HP. Redeemer moving its way in, chasing down the vulnerable Juggernauts, and man spam is continuing to deal damage to this Marv. Redeemer in a really, really great position. The positioning of Futurama has been good this time around, killing Juggernaut after Juggernaut, and hopefully able to start dealing some back armor damage to the Marv, getting off a couple of really good shots. Marv less than half HP. There is the rage gen as the Redeemer begins to deal more and more damage to his opponent. This Marv is still up, still in the fight, but just barely. Futurama is now on the front doorstep of Senna, now moving into Senna's base, and Senna has spent too much money to try and base race Futurama because his secondary natural expansion is just barely developed. There's only one harvester there, but it's not going to matter because I don't think he has a war factory left in order to continue this fight. Marv is just barely hanging on there. There it goes. The Mars finally taken out by the Redeemer, and Senna is dead. He does not know it yet, but he is a flailing body. There it is. He throws in the towel, giving a win to Futuarma. Futuarma being a bit more aggressive that time around, or at least able to find a couple more purchases where he was not able to in the previous match. I'm excited for the next one, Commander. I'll see you there. Here we are, back again on Tournament Odyssey. Over in the bottom left, we get our first mix-up of the match, our first mix-up of the series, as it looks like we get a bit of scrim from Futuarma. Over on the right, it looks like we're getting yeah, it looks like still, no, actually he switched to Black Hand. Senna has switched to Black Hand, maybe looking for a mirror match, but not quite getting it against Futuarma. Futuarama switching over to, I'm pretty sure that is Scrin. I didn't check the match beforehand to double check, and I'm not pressing O now because I think it'll look silly. It will be interesting to see. I think I see Futuarama more on the Scrin factions than I do really too much else. I guess I did see him on a good chunk of Black Hand matches even before this, and I think I've even cast a handful of them as well that I'm sure you can find somewhere in my links, somewhere in my vault of videos. Well, I guess vault is a very liberal use of that word, very generous use of words. All 32 of my videos. Black Hand squads are going to pop and kill these Buster squads before they can really get any scouting done, but it doesn't matter because there's already a couple of scouts here. Confessor Cabal squads have moved their way in, and they're going to see that there is a scrin on the map and that the natural expansion is being expanded into. Confessor Cabal squads are here everywhere on the map. They're not going to be able to do too much. They're just from a couple of the sell-offs and just from a couple of the barracks of Senna. Gunwalker going to move its way in and get his first little smorgasbord for the map, killing a good chunk of all of these Confessor Cabal squads all by himself, just like a good boy. Senna actually transitioning into a flame tank rather quick and in a hurry, and we may get to see a quick match here if this flame tank can go in here and get a refinery or maybe get a couple of deals here and there. Hopefully we'll get some disintegrators here from this warp sphere in order to stop this. Assault seeker tanks are going to move their way in, but I'm not sure if they're going to be enough in order to kill this extractor. Losing this extractor early on will definitely sting for Futuarama. Futuarama not expecting the flame tank. As the flame tank moves its way in, it gets one refinery and it dies. But the damage is done. I'm not sure if he built a second one. I do not see it on the map just quite yet. Black Hand squad's not able to deal the damage they want to this Tiberium spike, but they did get the refinery, which is you know, pretty hefty early on. Seeker tanks for Futuarama are now uncontested, moving their way into the natural expansion. I say that as soon as a laser turret with a couple of Scorpions are here for the defense. Senna was prepared. Senna was ready for it, probably expecting those units to show up there rather quickly. Couple of assimilators, which are the engineers for the Scrim faction, are going to move their way into those defensive towers. I thought those defensive towers were quite useless, but I guess if they can one-shot a couple of units like bikes and buggies and whatnot, they can be good overall in the defense, and their range is pretty good. And they do, it looks like they two-shot, yeah, they two-shot Scorpions as well. Okay, so those deal more damage than I thought. Sell off of the warp sphere happens as a buzzer squad pops its way out, doing a little bit of scouting, and Futuarama is now moving into the natural expansion of his opponent. But there are still laser turrets here for the defense to stop these seeker turrets. Seeker turrets are going to ignore it and try and go for a harvester, but the harvester is going to back its way out as the forces of Senna move their way in to stop this assault. There is the low power mode, and the harvester just barely manages to make it out of there. Body block by the power plant is going to pop up as soon as all of that, and the majority of the forces of Futuarama are going to get wiped out here, not able to find the purchases that they needed, not able to get something off as well as Senna was a minute ago. Last Seeker tank is here. Last Seeker tank is going to go down. Mechapede is the transition for the Scrin faction, is the transition for Futuarama. I always find the Mechapedes, when they're just little heads, to be, I don't know, kind of adorable. I know they're some sort of horrifying monster, but I think it's always quite funny just to see them as just a little head running around. Fully segmented Mechapede moving its way in, killing one of the harvesters that it could not kill earlier, and actually hopefully be able to get a secondary harvester at the very least, stop it from harvesting. Mechapede moving its way in, definitely disjointed, definitely messed up and segmented here. Getting a second harvester. Flame Tank gonna move its way past the Mechapede as the Mechapede runs its way out, and Senna is moving into the base, fighting these Mechapedes inside of Futurama's base. But most importantly, this natural expansion is going to be uncontested. This natural expansion is going to have a whole bunch of Scorpion tanks. There is the Storm Column. There are the Mechapedes moving their way in, but Futurama is not able to harvest just quite yet. Losing all of these Scorpions will hurt as another Mechapede moves its way in and sandwiches these Scorpions. Scorpions do get their first little upgrade. They do get the Dozer, but it's not going to be enough armor. It's not going to be enough to save them from these Mechapedes. Mechapedes did seem to work for the transition. They worked rather quite well into everything. They were able to get a little bit of kills on the harvesters, and they were able to defend the base of Futurama. Futurama is still a little bit on his back foot, but is turning it around rather quickly with these Mechapedes. First Mechapede is going to get taken out by a laser turret and rockets here rather quickly. Mechapedes forcing these flame tanks on their way out. They're not going to be able to get any more free shots off on Futurama. Futurama now moving Mechapedes into the old main base of Senna over there, as the secondary flame tank does get taken down before really any damage can be dealt. Mechapedes taking a couple of pot shots at the Shredder turrets. Nothing really to write home about, but killing this harvester is what he's looking for. Killing this harvester is what he wants. 3 Mechapedes are still up, and continuing their assault power plant would be another good target for them to go for, and that is appearing to be what they are going to grab. 2 Mechapedes over on the left-hand side of the map, looking for another angle to start killing a couple of things. Low power mode for Senna. Senna is now officially on his back foot. Futurama has turned this around. Let's see if he can maintain this momentum. Laser fence is up for the refinery. I'm guessing that grants it a little bit of defense. I know engineers can't steal it at some point, but I think it also makes it a little bit beefier. Mechapedes moving their way in over here. Disintegrators going for the Tiberium spike of their opponent. Futurama not letting up on this assault. These extremely mobile Mechapedes are just going to keep going for the throat, just going to keep going for the economy as 2 harvesters go down inside of Senna's base. Senna cannot keep his units alive. Annihilator Tripod is here with 2 Storm Columns here for the defense. A couple of Mechapedes have moved their way in. It looks like one did get assaulted, one did get killed on its way down. The other Mechapedes are moving their way here for the defense. That is a wise move. They're going to need that. Buzzer squads are here. Refinery is probably going to go down here in a minute. No, actually the body block is here. The body block is going to stop that. Senna does have his first purifier out here, which from watching MasterLeaf stream, I did not realize how much of a field the purifier gives to help out the other units. Mechapedes are facing their butts towards this extraction field, towards this Tiberium field, as harvester after harvester dies for Senna. Senna's economy's got to be absolutely starving. 2 buzzer hives here to deal with this assault on his front lines. Annihilator Tripod getting a couple of good shots off on the purifier, should be able to take him out and given enough time. Another Annihilator Tripod moving its way in, but Futurama's not done. He's attacking from every angle he possibly can as he moves his Mechapedes back into the old main base of his opponent and wraps the defense. Futurama is defending and attacking at the exact same time to great success. Another harvester for Senna is going to get taken out as there is the sell-off. There is the GG by Senna, not able to keep up with the Skrin forces of his opponent, with the Skrin forces of Futurama. Let's get ready for the next one, Commander. Here we are on Hampstead Garden. This battle is brought to you by Control-Alt-Delete Counseling Services, specializing in emotional recovery from ranked losses and forgotten engineers. Futurama finding great purchase in his Skrin and sticking with it, but we do get a little bit of a mix-up, or at least back to form by Senna. Senna going to his GDI, going to his comfort zone, not wanting to take any more losses for Futurama. These players seem to be rather balanced when it comes to their power scaling, and they've done rather well into each other. scouts for Senna get killed rather unceremoniously there in the south by a buzzer hive, and then the buzzers move their way in to get a little bit of scouting. Something I was unaware of until someone pointed it out not too long ago is the buzzer squads actually do sniper damage, but the range on it is just so low that like it's melee sniper damage is really the best way to put it. Natural expansion is moving its way over to itself. That drone ship followed soon by Senna in the north. Rifleman squads doing what rifleman squads do early on for GDI and just continuing to be pests. GDI is here to look in between both of the natural expansions of his opponent of Futuarma, looking for those sneaky things, and not really a bad strategy because this map is quite long. So if you don't have vision on someone, it gives them time to get some sort of squirreliness going. Not that Skren's really going to do anything super squirrely. They can if they want to, but not really what they are known for. Feel like they're more of a tech-heavy faction, which would make sense considering they're supposed to be the advanced alien race that's making its way in to start assaulting everyone. And at least that's how the story seems to play out. I'm not considering the story for Command & Conquer 4 because it doesn't exist in my opinion, and the opinions of most of the fans of the game. Good boy Gunwalker's going to get his first little snack for the morning, first little snack for this map, and his friend in the north is going to do the same thing to a couple of forces over here as Futuarma is still scouting and sussing out his opponent. Pitbull's going to start getting some early shots on a refinery. Nothing to write home about as a secondary and a third. Pitbull move their way in. Gunwalker's going to start moving their way forward, starting dealing actually almost no damage to those Pitbulls. I thought they were going to be able to get a couple more hits off, that were going to do a bit more there, but they were unable to. Garrison buzzer squads are here in the center of the map to see anything weird is coming. Futuarma moving one singular hole. Gunwalker into the natural expansion of his opponent, possibly looking for those airfields, possibly looking for that AP ammo, which is probably on its way here any moment. We do have the APCs, we do have the armor, we do have a similar strategy that we've seen Senna do before as he kills this Gunwalker. Gunwalker just not able to make it to that air facility. I'm not sure if he was able to see it. Possibly, yeah. He might have actually been able to see the deal with the Fog of War with the Gunwalker. First little set of orcas moving their way in, doing a little bit of scouting for their commander, and seeing that those Gunwalkers are on their way. Descents moving their way into the secondary natural expansion of Senna, but Senna is here. Senna is ready for it, and they get destroyed rather unceremoniously, but I'm sure that is not the primary assault as all of these Gunwalkers move their way into the old main base of Senna, hopefully able to get a couple of kills on a few of the harvesters before Senna can respond. If he didn't know before, he definitely knows now, as a Hammerhead does get caught out and almost taken out there at the end. Maybe he can kill that air facility. I'm not sure what target he's looking for. He is going to see the T3, or not the T3, he's going to see the command post here out for his opponent as Senna begins, or sorry, Futuarama begins to walk his way to the center. And actually the Gunwalkers are moving their way over to these Mechapedes that I did not see sneaking their way in. Mechapedes finding an amazing purchase for Futuarama in the last game, and he's now trying to do the exact same thing. If he can kill a couple of these harvesters, it'll definitely make a difference early on in the game as a couple of forces go down here and there. Shatterers taking out the forces of Skren. Mechapede uncontested, and running into, I say that, but running into a mana tank, dying. Both Mechapedes die, and the majority of, I think almost all of the Gunwalkers are going to be soon to follow. That was a bit of a costly assault for Futuarama. Losing that early on is probably going to hurt, and we actually already have an Eradicator Hexapod out here for Futuarama. Senna is going to get the scout out with GDI and is going to see that Eradicator Hexapod is here and is on the map. I do not think there is the T3 finishing up an upgrade, probably finishing up railguns or something to that effect, maybe getting the upgrade for Pitbull's Nope. Yes, they did go for the railgun upgrade. That would make sense with the mammoth tanks. Mammoth tanks moving their way in, getting ready to fight these Annihilator tripods. I'm not sure if they know that they are there just quite yet. Senna grouping up his forces over on his secondary natural expansion, looking to protect that. Space Command Center uplink is on this front area of Senna's base on this secondary natural expansion, and something dealt a good amount of damage to this extractor. Maybe it was dealt a long time ago and I just didn't see it. Eradicator Hexapod moving into the secondary natural expansion of Senna, supported here by a Corruptor, getting a little bit of free healing off. Hopefully he can get a couple of kills, couple of shots off on all of these units. Sonic Emitter is here and is going to try to kill this Corruptor. Corruptor is less than half HP right now, forcing the Eradicator Hexapod to back its way out. Two Corruptors are here to start continuing the healing of the Eradicator Hexapod with a couple of Annihilator tripods, one going down there in the south. And we do actually get a good EMP on this Eradicator Hexapod, and most importantly, they're going to be able to hit the back armor of it, dealing extra damage to it. Mana Tanks moving their way in, trying to deal everything they possibly can after Corruptor gets taken down. There is the one click, there is the phase shift by the Eradicator Hexapod. Eradicator Hexapod might be going for the crush, no, but he does decide to turn around. I don't believe you're going to be able to get out of there, Futurama. You should have just continued for the crush, but that's easy for me to say and hard for you to do in this particular moment, because Senna is not only destroying your Eradicator Hexapod, he's also going after your secondary natural expansion here any moment. This Eradicator Hexapod is hanging on, but that one click is going to run out here in the moment. Senna continuing his assault over on the right-hand side of the map. Futurama really unable to do too much whatsoever. Eradicator Hexapod turns around trying to get the crush, but Senna was prepared for it. Senna was ready for it and turned around just in time, stopping him from getting any crushes whatsoever. Eradicator Hexapod finding almost absolutely no purchases in that fight. Annihilator tripod is up and preparing for the defense for the up-and-coming assault. Misclick Harvester is going to make its way over there, unless it was there just for doing some scouting. Annihilator tripod getting a couple of good shots off, does have an upgrade. Orcas moving their way in for the scout, maybe a little bit of damage as well, actually taking out that refinery, which is going to sting. That's going to hurt the already hurt production of Futurama. I think Futurama, I'm not sure he's going to be able to pull anything out of his hat this time around. He does have a couple of tripods, but that is a lot of armor rolling up on his front doorstep without any real answer to it just quite yet. And to add insult to injury, there are the hammerheads. There is the blink backwards as another unit dies, as I think the Prodigy, what it was, dies there at the end. Hammerhead going down, Annihilator tripods, and these shock troopers are built up here and ready to go. And there is the one click that could turn things around here if they can kill enough of these mammoth tanks to move into another assault. Annihilator tripod here. The defender's advantage is real, and the one click is real. Annihilator tripods are beginning to mop up all of these mammoth tanks. A couple more mammoth tanks moving their way in, but most importantly, the units here inside the bubble should get mopped up here in a moment. Shock troopers killing. The hammerhead's bubble is up, and now they can begin their assault on all of these tripods. One gets EMP'd, one mammoth tank gets EMP'd, one mammoth tank goes down. Hammerheads are going to make the difference here after tripod goes down. Futurama almost able to turn that assault around, but Senna somehow holding on to the defense. There it is. There's the GG for Futurama, giving Senna another victory. I can't wait to see you in the next one, Commander. This is round number 8 on the map, Twilight City. We get a bit of a return to form for Futurama. He has gone back to his black hand. And of course, another return to form over here. GDI has been working best for Senna, so he has decided to stick with that. And he has found some really good, great games, some really good maneuvers with his armor and grouping them up. And once he gets going, Futurama seems to have a hard time stopping him. Maybe Futurama's got something rolled up his sleeve for some of these later matches. We will only have to take some time and see. 3 harvesters out for Senna, and it looks like only 3 harvesters out for Futuarma. So far, they're keeping up with each other on the economy. There is 2 Tiberium spikes and a set of blue Tiberium in the center of the map. Yeah, and that does appear to be the only set of blue Tiberium here. And this is a map where I believe your resources are a bit more anemic. These Tiberium fields seem a little bit on the smaller side, making those Tiberium spikes all the more useful. First natural expansion for both players have at least been deployed on, but not expanded on just quite yet. A couple of queues are built up for each player. Refineries, I'm sure, are here to follow here any moment. Bike and Buggy, or at the very least, Bike is out for Futuarma. Pitbull is going to take a couple of good shots off on the Harvester, forcing his way out. Bike's moving their way in to start dealing some more damage and taking out that Pitbull there with a with a retreating tactics. Pitbull moving its way into Futurama's secondary natural expansion, and Futurama doing the same to his opponent with a Confessor Cabal squad. Pitbull able to get a couple of decent shots off on a Harvester on its way out, but the rocket squads and everything else are going to push it, so nothing real big just quite yet. Watchtower is going to get one of the infantry squads of Black Hand, one of the infantry squads of Futurama, and kill it rather quick and in a hurry. AP ammo is being researched there by Senna. Senna getting that good and ready to go. That has been super great into Futurama. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see another airfield here in a moment. I don't think we're going to see mammoth tanks again, but he could prove me wrong. Those Predator tanks with the AP ammo, sorry, not Predator tanks, those APCs with the AP ammo and Predator tanks, there did seem to be doing a good chunk against all of this with a couple of Shatterers mixed, and that seems to be the composition that he is stuck with to great effect. Pitbull's reversing their move, reversing their way into the secondary natural expansion of Futurama. One of them going down, I think another one going down off screen that I was not able to catch. They are finally starting to take a couple of free shots off on the Harvester. Harvester is getting close to half HP as Futurama is not paying attention to this because he's actually dealing with an assault over here in the center of the map. If he's not careful, he may lose a Harvester to these Pitbulls. One Pitbull goes down, leaving one Pitbull there by itself. APC barely able to make its way out, and AP ammo is there. It looks like it did complete in the background. Foxhole is destroyed by Futurama as Futurama continues to take control over the center of the map. Pitbull inside Futurama's base does finally get taken out, slowly but surely. That's going to be rather inconsequential. We get our first set of Hammerheads with their AP ammo. Less and less Predator tanks. Actually, I don't see really any Predator tanks for the time being. Looks like he's going to take some faith in the AP ammo of all of these APCs. The main assault is beginning as all of these infantry are actually doing pretty decently against the APCs, but who knows how things will turn out when the dust has settled. APC dies after APC dies. There's too many rocket squads, too many bikes here, dealing too much damage to all of these APCs. APCs do get their way pushed out, and for one of the first times in this match, we get to see Futurama push back the armor of Senna. Senna's armor has been all but unstoppable. Watchtowers are here, taking a couple of pot shots at the infantry of his opponent, killing a couple of those rocket squads, getting a couple of good shots off. Hammerheads moving their way in with this AP ammo. Rocket squads and bikes are here to take out the Hammerheads, and the second assault for this fight has begun, and it's not looking in Senna's favor. The forces just seem to be too much here for Futurama. I say that as like half of his troops do get taken down, but more and more APCs by Senna do get taken down. There is the one click, there is the decoy army able to get a little bit of scouting and soak up some of the damage from these watchtowers. They do get taken out rather quick and in a hurry, but there's a lot of watchtowers here to deal with all of this man spam. Futurama has all but lost his assault over here, and I'm not sure what gains he was able to get his hands on other than destroying the forces of Senna. but Senna is going to bounce back rather quickly. Hammerheads moving their way in, dealing a little bit of damage to these harvesters. Bike's going to push out the Hammerheads and destroy one Hammerhead on its way out. It doesn't look like Senna can hang on to really any of his units. Every time he turns around, Futuarma is pushing his way in and destroying more and more of his forces. Reclamator Hub is here on the old main base of Senna. We're going to see a Marv here any moment. T3 is out for Futuarma. Orca Strike moving its way in, and it's going to see what he can see, and probably it's also going to see that T3 is there. Yep, he is going to know that T3 is up and ready to go, and he's going to see that at the very least there's not a Reclamator Hub, or there's not a Redeemer engineering facility up anywhere to deal with that. Marv is up, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a sell-off of the Marv engineering facility. There it is. It is down, and actually Futuarma has been moving over here on the left-hand side of the map this entire time, and I haven't seen it. There is a base rush. He's got all of his rocket squads. He's got the obelisk. He's got the man spam, and this might spell the end for Senna. Senna's not in a good spot here. His forces are not in a good spot whatsoever. Losing this natural expansion is going to sting, and it's going to be hard to deal with all these obelisks and all these forces moving their way in, and the upgrades and the defenses are probably not done here for Futuarama as Futuarama continues to move his assault, continues to wipe out Harvester and APC after Harvester and APC. Another full set of blue, or full Tiberium does get taken down. Senna is got to be hurting. His economy has got to be in the toilet here. Everything he's got left is the only thing that he's got left. Marv is moving down in the south. That is going to help a little bit, but that is going to be sort of a temporary fix for that. Most importantly, Futuarama is going to be able to expand nicely to refineries inside of that natural expansion. So that's going to be great for him. The man spam is not here to push out this Marv, so the only lifeline he has right now is the Marvin. Oh no, a Juggernaut actually does get caught off. That is an expensive mistake to make. Those Juggernauts would have been super useful, but it doesn't matter. Zone Troopers and Watchtower are going to kill the lion's share of these rocket squads. The Husk is going to get destroyed. 3 bikes are all that are left of this bike and buggy combination as they begin to transition their way to killing another Harvester whatsoever. Harvester is almost dead. No maneuvering, no microing for it as it gets taken out there quick and in a hurry. Marv is continuing its Marvisting, providing a vital lifeline for Senna. The assault has begun in earnest over then on the natural expansion. There's 2 Juggernauts, there's a couple of APs here, but I'm not sure that they're going to have what it takes unless he can get a couple of more Watchtowers out, unless he can sell off a couple of these power plants if he's able to, in order to get some infantry out to soak up some of the damage, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that. The majority of the forces for Futuarama have broken away from his first natural expansion and moving into his what's supposed to be his secondary natural expansion, pushing that Marv out and continuing his assault over here in the north. Juggernauts are taking a couple of good shots off of them, but they're only going to be able to do so much damage to the man spam, as the man spam has been almost unstoppable over here. Sniper squads are going to start taking out a good chunk of these units here, but the obelisk is here in the front line, and the EMP Raider buggies move their way in, locking down the Marv, most importantly, right next to all of these obelisk. Another EMP blast goes off, and I think this Marv is all but dead as the assault did get wrapped up in the north, but it doesn't matter because the primary target, this Marv, this lifeline for Senna, is here, and it's going to go down here any moment. I don't think there's anything he can do. He's going to get a couple of crushes off. One EMP does go off after another, sell off of the obelisk of light and destroying of the Tiberium spike. Construction yard is left undefended in this secondary natural expansion, but I think this is Futurama's game to lose. Senna still has time to turn it around, but his economy has got to be starving. He is making a good move on his opponent, but there's actually a Redeemer engineering facility. If he can get that out, that will definitely absolutely stop the assault, but he may not even need it with all of this man spam here, pushing out the Shatter. If they can catch these Juggernauts unawares, that will definitely do them a great service, but I'm not sure it's going to matter. Juggernaut's just doing too much damage. Shatterer saving up its shot, moving in and out, staying out of the range of all of those units as Futurama moves into the old main base of Senna. Secondary, our first natural expansion for Senna is being expanded upon, and it does look like the economy for Futurama is developing quite nicely. Redeemer is almost finished over there as the assault's continuing, and there is a shredder turret out on the front line dealing a good chunk of damage to the Shatter, dealing a good chunk of damage to those APCs, but going down. The Juggernauts just don't have, there's just not a solution to them just quite yet. Futuarma is just unable to get it. There is the Redeemer. There are the Bike and Buggies. Bike and Buggies need to focus on those Juggernauts. Those are your primary defense. EMP Raider Buggies are going to lock down all of the Juggernauts, forcing a better fight here for it. Another EMP going off, catching more and more of the armor of his opponent as the man spam is here, as another EMP Raider Buggy moves its way in, locking down the construction yard, locking down the defense of his opponent. The EMPs are not over yet as more and more get popped down. Rage Gen pops out, and I think this is the end for Senna. There it is. He throws in the towel, giving everything to Futuarama. Futuarama turning it around, finding safety, finding strategy in his black hand, doing a great job against Senna, and Senna doing a great job against Futuarama. If the other games are going to be like this, we're looking up for an exciting tournament, Commander. I'll see you in the next series. Welcome, Commander, to the second match for the evening. On the map, Tournament Stadium. Over here on the bottom right-hand section of the map, wearing the red robe, sporting the black hand gloves. Here he is for his redemption, CyberStorm. His opponent for the moment in the top left-hand corner of the map, wearing the cyan robe, sporting the GDI gloves. Here it is, Shoktrepet. Both fighters ready. Begin. Welcome, 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 Commander. We have moved into our second match for the evening. We get to see CyberStorm versus Shoktrepet on Tournament Stadium. Speaking of Tournament Stadium, today's encounter is proudly sponsored by AFK Gaming Chairs, ergonomically designed for strategic bathroom breaks. Over in the top right, we are getting our first little bit of scouting between each of these players. Hopefully we get to see a little bit more of CyberStorm's wheelhouse than we have beforehand. He's been up against some rather tough opponents, especially in his first couple of matches, not doing the best that he could, not transitioning where he could. But this is a new match, this is a new fight, and most importantly, this is a new opponent. Shoktrepet into CyberStorm. I don't get to see a crazy amount of Shoktrepet. I have seen a bit more of CyberStorm lately. I think I've only done one cast with Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet grabbing his APCs. We saw how well those worked into Blackhand previously. Senna doing a very good job of hammering his opponent down. First little bit of blue Tiberium is being grabbed by Shoktrepet, but the forces for CyberStorm are here. CyberStorm has been a little bit quicker on the uptake when it comes to the blue Tiberium, but he was a little bit behind Shoktrepet in this regard. Pitbulls and APCs with a couple of rocket squads are here. I don't believe there's anybody inside the APCs just quite yet. One rocket squad goes in and a secondary rocket squad goes in soon to follow. Actually, he was set up to go for the other APCs. We have 3 Pitbulls and we have 2 APCs with rockets in there. That should be enough to get 2 volleys off and try and kill a Harvester, hopefully. But we do have the bikes and we do have the buggies here for CyberStorm. CyberStorm's been pretty good about transitioning rather quickly, at least in the early game, into his bike and buggy combination, and that has remained consistent over here. A little bit of scouting. Shoktrepet needs to group up his forces. He's got to know that bikes are on the horizon, but there they are. They get a good, clean shot off on the Pitbulls, taking it down almost for free. The only thing they lost was a small amount of Cabal Cavester squads, which is a small consolation prize for Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet moving his way into his opponent's base. He's got to have to do something about this damage on this Harvester. Bikes move in. Bikes have to back their way out as Pitbull and APC begin to go down. Mine drop is here. A couple of shots on the mines do happen because CyberStorm is not moving into that Tiberium field. Hopefully he'll be able to get all of those mines out before he continues his harvesting, but most importantly, Shoktrepet is keeping CyberStorm from harvesting the Tiberium that he desperately needs this early on. Assault has finally ended by Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet not able to kill any harvesters and losing the majority of his forces, but he did delay his opponent. Hopefully the amount that he delayed is going to be enough to offset the losses that he gained from that. Two bikes get a couple of really good shots off on a harvester, almost knocking it out. More reinforcements are coming over here. Shoktrepet may not be ready for this. He only has a couple of watchtowers. He does have one predator tank, but one predator tank is going to have a hard time dealing with all of this as one predator tank goes down. And I'm sure soon to follow is going to be a couple of harvesters. One harvester at half HP, another harvester going almost completely down. Two harvesters get taken down. CyberStorm finally finding the purchases he needs with his bike and buggy combination. Third harvester probably going to go down here any moment. It only has a couple of shots left on it. We get the body block over here by the command post and maybe some AP ammo here, but it's too little too late. The damage is done. Shoktrepet losing the lion's share of his harvesters inside his natural expansion. That is going to sting, and that is definitely going to hurt his economy. Bike goes down, followed by a predator tank. Soon afterwards, Shoktrepet has transitioned into predator tanks in full force as best he can, getting all of those resources while he was harvesting. While he still had those harvesters is definitely going to be really important. There is still a good number of bikes, and they're poking and prodding around looking for another assault, and Shoktrepet is in the center of the map, not able to see that. One predator tank is going to run into all these bikes, but it's not going to be enough to do anything. Hopefully Shoktrepet sees that and he's going to be able to turn around because CyberStorm is inside his base. CyberStorm has these bikes, and they're going to be taking out more and more of the economy of Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet loses another harvester, then his fourth harvester, and there is still no response for Shoktrepet. No watchtowers. There it is, finally a watchtower, but nothing on the front line. We do get a sell-off of the refinery, but I think it's too little too late. These bikes have just been absolutely dominant. Shoktrepet actually discovering a couple of these flame tanks here in the north. Shoktrepet needs to stop that. Shoktrepet's tanks do finally make it over into the northern area, but it is too little to prevent anything. The only thing they can do now is try and take out these flame tanks. Bikes are here for the defense of the flame tanks. Flame tanks reverse move their way just a little bit out. A couple of bikes do go down to the predator tank. The predator tank ultimately does fall over here in the center, and we have a staggering number of flame tanks by CyberStorm. Two in the north, one in the center, and two in the south, and I'm not sure Shoktrepet is ready for it, especially over here in the south. He doesn't really have too much, but he does get a laser fence there, but it's not going to matter because two flame tanks is going to take out his war facility, and the only thing he has on the map right now is a watchtower to deal with this. CyberStorm is absolutely dominating the economy game, is absolutely dominating the aggression, and Shoktrepet is having a hard time keeping up with these flame tanks, is having a hard time keeping up with these bikes. There are the reinforcements on their way, but they are too little too late. Shoktrepet has lost harvester after harvester, and his economy has been delayed, while CyberStorm has just had more time to build up, more time to get rocket squads and more bikes out. He's still not transitioning into anything yet other than keeping his bikes and a couple of flame tanks. We did get to see his strategy come into full effect, more than we normally get to see. One flame tank does get taken out, but if they're not careful, the other flame tank, nope, the other flame tank gets taken out extremely unceremoniously, not able to get any purchases. Shoktrepet a little bit faster on the upkeep when it comes to that one. Rifleman squad's taking a couple of shots at the bikes, but bikes doing even better job on their flyby, on their drive-by, knocking out a good chunk of those. CyberStorm moving into the center of the map, grabbing his blue Tiberium, pushing his economy even further forward than Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet's going to run into an issue here soon, especially if he does nothing about these rocket squads in the north. Shoktrepet might actually lose another two harvesters here in the center, going for that blue Tiberium with no escorts, knowing that there are a bunch of bikes and there are a bunch of buggies here to deal with it. I think we also heard the sound of a Redeemer up here somewhere on the map, unless I'm mistaking that for the sound for a Marv. If we did get a Marv from Shoktrepet, and we did get a Marv from Shoktrepet, that can be rather useful. If he can move that Marv into CyberStorm's natural expansion, then he can harvest up a good chunk of those resources, sort of tying up the gap. More bikes are moving their way into Shoktrepet's first natural expansion. Shoktrepet moving into his secondary natural expansion, while that Marv moves into the northern area. to start taking up some of his opponent's resources, take up some of his opponent's infrastructure. Looks like Marv is going to be backed up by all of these Predator tanks, but Predator tanks, unless they can get the crush on, are going to have a hard time. And oh no, Shoktrepet, what are you doing? Run them over. You were close enough. You had plenty of time to take them out. I know you're waiting for the Marv, but that was a golden opportunity for you to run over the majority of his forces. Sure, he could have backed up, but that would have given your Marv time to do that. Once again, this stuff is easy to say from the casting chair, but still, it's hard not to point out that Hammerhead's moving their way in, killing the infantry squads left and right where they can, but if not careful, they're going to go from Predator to Prey here rather quickly. Predator tanks, speaking of, going and getting a couple of good crushes on the rocket squads. Marv's getting its Marvesting, tying up some of the resources, bringing Shoktrepet back into this game. He is hurting, but he is not out of the fight, and he's making some decent gains here. And oh no, CyberStorm needs to move these units. If you get caught by a Marv, it's the equivalent of getting caught by a Zamboni. They are way too slow, and he's just going to let it happen. It doesn't appear that he's getting assaulted really anywhere else. Losing those units is extremely unfortunate. You could have microed those just a bit better and saved them from those massive amount of crushes. CyberStorm losing his advantage. Things have finally started to switch into Shoktrepet's favor. Shoktrepet able to hold on and deal a good chunk. Redeemer has been scouted by these couple of Hammerheads. Hammerheads could be taking a couple of decent shots off on it, but it doesn't matter. Here's the Sand Turrets to push the Hammerheads out, taking out possibly one Hammerhead. Nope, they just got two Hammerheads down to half and one down to even lower. Hammerheads are hurting, but they are still in the game. Shoktrepet can back those out, get some repairs, and pop something in them, hopefully. Marv is continuing its Marvesting of CyberStorm's field, and CyberStorm is having a bit of a problem once again, moving into and protecting his natural expansion. Shoktrepet stealing a little bit of a strategy from, I believe, Bart Jones into CyberStorm. I think that was CyberStorm's first opponent in the IES Invitational, and he was just able to dominate that economy. Things were looking rather favorably on CyberStorm initially, but they're starting to look a bit grim right now. He still has plenty of time to turn it around, but he is losing units left and right in positions that he shouldn't. Engineers moved its way into the Marv. A couple of Orcas are going to bomb absolutely nothing, but most importantly, the Hammerheads are here to start wiping up the rocket squads, and this Redeemer is in a bad position. As soon as the rocket squads go down, the Hammerheads can start dealing a good chunk of damage to this Redeemer. It's not going to be able to kill it, but every little bit like that is going to add up, especially if you can get a good chunk of it. Sand Turrets, I'm sure, are here to follow here any moment, but the Hammerheads are going to back out. Shoktrepet being painfully aware of how powerful those Sand Turrets are. And speaking of, Sand Turrets come up and Sand Turrets go down just as quickly as they spawn. A couple of bikes move their way in, and as the Marv continues to move its way into his opponent's field, and Shoktrepet's not done. He's rolling his armor, he's rolling his APCs and Predator tanks into the old main base of CyberStorm, finally taking a bit more of an aggressive front when and where he can, slowly but surely pulling the GDI tactics of this slow-moving army, armor, words are hard, walking its way into your opponent's base. Not quite as slow as Steel Talons, not quite as powerful as Steel Talons, but it is default GDI, not in a bad way. There is a couple of power plants going down for CyberStorm. CyberStorm is going to have to deal with sort of an assault on two different fronts. He's going to have to defend the north, and he's going to have to defend the south. There is the sell-off of the War Factory, saving CyberStorm 1,000 credits, but he is looking really, really anemic when it comes to infrastructure. Low power mode has happened, which means those Sand Turrets are now absolutely useless. Bike and Buggy moving their way in to try to get a couple of good pot shots on the Marv, and we actually get a rig on the front line to help with this, but it doesn't matter because there's the EMP. Marv is now half HP, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get another EMP here any moment unless that Hammerhead can save it. Those Hammerheads need to take out that Raider Buggy, and oh no, they missed it. They ignored the target. They should have been defending the Marv, not themselves. The Marv is way more expensive and way more important to grab, but the rig did not get hit by the EMP. GMP, which means the repairs are going to be here between the two engineers and between the rig doing its bit of healing. And Shoktrepet is proving why he is a little bit more of one of these skilled players, because he's able to do what a lot of the big boys do, which is attack simultaneously from multiple fronts, controlling the micro, controlling the macro. That's extremely important in Kane's Wrath. CyberStorm does decide to throw in the towel, giving Shoktrepet his first victory for the series. Let's see how CyberStorm decides to tie up the match going forward. I'll see you there. Here we are on Tournament LA. In the north, we have CyberStorm hanging on to his red and hanging on to his black hand. His opponent in the south, in the cyan, still rocking the GDI. We have Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet into CyberStorm. This seems like a bit more of a balanced match. The aggression for CyberStorm was really great, and we actually get a whole bunch of early. It looks like not quite an all-in, but that's a lot of units. That's a lot of black hand early on. CyberStorm deciding to get even more aggression, but the unfortunate thing is Shoktrepet is here for it. Shoktrepet is ready for it, and he's going to notice it with his rifleman squad, which means he's going to have time to build his watchtower. There it is, right on cue, and probably a couple more here soon to follow. There's the power plant for a body block. Shoktrepet does have time to react to this. Shoktrepet does have time to deal with this. There's the barracks where he's going to be able to start getting out his own infantry. He's got the defender's advantage. He's got the power plant here to block all of the damage, or at least most of the damage. There's low power mode just as soon as it is up, and they're going to be able to take out the watchtowers just as quickly as they spawn. One APC is here, but it's not going to be enough to stop this. Another watchtower has popped its way out. The rifleman squad did get taken out. These forces are going to be hard to deal with. These black hand squads mixed into the units here and there are just doing so much damage. Low power mode happening once again. Shoktrepet just cannot stay ahead of this rush, and he's getting crushed for it. Watchtower after watchtower does pop its way out, but it doesn't matter because the harvesters have stopped harvesting, and most importantly, there is not a refinery on the front line, so Shoktrepet's going to run out of resources. He may not be aware of this, but I do think this is an L right here. CyberStorm getting his first victory on Shoktrepet, tying up the score 1-1 for each player. Definitely a great upset to see. I am excited to see how match number 3, or round number 3, rounds out. I'll see you there. Here we are, Commander, on Tournament Rift. Over in our top left, hanging onto his red and keeping his black hand, we have CyberStorm. His opponent, of course, Shoktrepet in the cyan, in the GDI, both looking to take the point, to take the lead from each other, both having really good matches in their own regards. Shoktrepet was not ready for that rush tactic by the Black Hand faction and was able to eke out a good victory. CyberStorm just not able to stick the landing in the first one, granting CyberStorm a victory in that one, so it'll be quite exciting to see how this turns out. Shredder turrets are going to get the sell off, preventing the scouting of the Nod base. Shoktrepet very much so wants that scouting after seeing that craziness, but he was a little bit more prepared this time around, and I think he's seeing if he's going to do a rush, now he has plenty of time to prepare for it. The game is already a little bit later than it was, so if something sneaky was starting to happen, Shoktrepet would have time to prepare for it. Hopefully he's going to be able to get a little bit of scouting over here. It'd be nice to see an APC, or more importantly, a Pitbull up and ready to go to poke and prod and to get some sight on what CyberStorm's doing, because that last game has definitely showed that if you leave CyberStorm alone, he's going to do these cheeky Nod tactics, and they did work out. It was him subverting the expectations and giving himself a win in the the second part of the IES of their series of this match. Old main bases and natural expansions beginning to develop quite nicely. It looks like CyberStorm has, I think that's 4 harvesters to Shoktrepet's Looks like, nope, Shoktrepet's gone into 4 Harvester. He has transitioned into Pitbulls. He hasn't developed his natural expansion yet, but neither has his opponent. War Factory is out. 2 War Factories are out. We're going to see a couple of Bike and Buggy. CyberStorm doing very good once again, grabbing that blue Tiberium. Pitbulls moving their way in, taking a couple of shots, but if they're not careful, they're going to die to these bikes. They need to deal with these bikes beforehand, even though losing that blue Tiberium is going to suck. Losing your Pitbulls is going to suck even more because you might end up losing a couple of Harvesters. Half load of blue Tiberium is on its way back to CyberStorm's base. And oh no, actually, CyberStorm backs off on the defense, taking a little bit of damage on its way out. These Pitbulls are not done. I say that as soon as they back up, as soon as they make their way in over here to grab their rocket squads, we're getting that classic APC with rockets and that classic set of Pitbulls here. Pitbulls are a little bit damaged, so it's going to be hard for them to get some good damage off. Shoktrepet developing his natural expansion just a little bit ahead of CyberStorm. CyberStorm going into 2 War Factories, spending that additional 1,000 plus what he spent on the bikes, and he has not made any real purchase for it yet. Sell off of the watchtower is going to be unfortunate for Shoktrepet, but hopefully he can see that this assault is on the way. If not, he's going to once again lose a healthy chunk of his Harvesters here in the north. He needs to be watching that. He knows he's fighting Nod. He knows he's fighting Shoktrepet. Both of those are sneaky players and sneaky factions. Watchtower is out, but I'm not sure it's going to be able to save this Harvester, as one Harvester does finally get taken out. One bike does go down, along with a second one here probably pretty soon. No, it actually doesn't get off. A bike for a Harvester is worth the trade any day. That won't make up for the 1,000 War Factory plus however much it is for each individual bike. And speaking of bikes, there are more in the south. This assault is not over. CyberStorm is moving his way into Shoktrepet's space, hopefully trying to get a kill. Pitbull is here for the defense, and so is the Watchtower. Pitbull does go down. APCs moving their way in. More Pitbulls making their way in, and this is actually able to push out. CyberStorm's actually going back in to wrap up more of these forces to kill more of these Pitbulls, and probably going to do the same thing here again. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another turn. One bike does finally get taken out, but it doesn't matter because they were able to get the kills where they wanted them and where they needed them. I would keep pushing that assault, but he is priming stuff in the north to continue a dual assault, one in the north, one in the south, doing a decent job at the very least of doing that. But I think a couple of his units are going to get caught out there in the north. He doesn't quite have the macro that he needs in order to do that assault the way he wants to do it. Bike and Buggy in the south, it looks like, are probably going to regroup with each other here in the center next to the blue Tiberium. Orcas are probably going to get spotted here by the bike here in a moment, which means he's going to know he needs plenty of time to move that Harvester, to move that refinery, whoever he did, pop it down. But the main purpose of this is entirely just to get a little bit of scouting off on your opponent in sort of a safe way. Bike and Buggies are still grouping up here in the center, getting ready for a potential fight. And actually, Shoktrepet is here, and Shoktrepet is here on the pincer move a little bit. He's only got a couple of units in the north, and they do end up dying for it. But most importantly, they catch the lion's share of CyberStorm's forces. CyberStorm's bikes and buggies die left and right. Here are actually no Predator tanks. It looks like it is full Pitbulls into that. Not a bad strategy. The Pitbulls can definitely keep up with the bike and buggy. A little bit of blue Tiberium was harvested once again by CyberStorm. CyberStorm, like I said, staying absolutely on top of that. Hammerheads are here for the scout. Hammerheads are here for the defense, and I'm assuming the construction yard did see that because it did deploy here in a second. He's going to need to turn around and help it out here. Construction yard has been spotted. Forces of Shoktrepet moving their way in. SAM turrets are down, taking out the Hammerheads, but there's nothing to defend the SAM turrets from this fight. I take that back. As soon as all of these bikes and buggies make their way over here, the forces of Shoktrepet are still in a good position, and they can probably take out that. I say that as soon as an Obelisk of Light does pop its way down. That's a strategy we got to see before. It's a strategy we got to see from our last match, popping those base defenses down into your opponent's base. Couple of really good shots going off from that Obelisk of Light, and a couple of follow-up rockets dealing a healthy chunk of damage to Shoktrepet's force. If Shoktrepet is not careful, he's going to end up with more obelisks of light on his front doorstep. I'm assuming we're going to get one here any moment from the construction yard. Shoktrepet needs to start developing that natural expansion. Hand to Nod is on the front line. Redeemer Engineering Facility is also on the front line. I'm assuming we got a bit of a bombing of the construction yard. That does appear to be the case. Bike and Buggy moving their way into the natural expansion of Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet having a couple of air forces down in the south. It looks like CyberStorm's going to try to intercept that as fast as he may be. He's not fast enough to stop all of these hammerheads. Marv is going to run into the bike and buggies. One bike does get taken out as Shoktrepet is going to do what he did last game and Marvist up the resources of CyberStorm. CyberStorm is going to need to stop that. CyberStorm does see a good, juicy target, which is this Juggernaut. Juggernaut does get taken down. Yep, there he goes. He does finally get destroyed, but more Juggernauts are here. And most importantly, the Redeemer is up, and the Redeemer is on the front line, and it is ready to go. Obelisk of Light is here. It's going to start getting a couple of really good shots off. Shoktrepet is able to take it out here at the very last minute, and is also able to deal with the forces of CyberStorm. His defense is much stronger. Having that Juggernaut on this front line and having a second Juggernaut is going to make a difference. Bike and Buggy are going down left and right. The majority of those bike and buggies by CyberStorm have been taken out. I'm assuming we're probably going to get another Obelisk of Light. There's the sell-off of the refinery, but it's too little too late. He was only able to get 13 of his resources back. Centaurs popping their way out, getting a couple of good shots on the hammerheads, but only taking it down to half HP as they get sold off there in the end. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of rage gen here in a moment. Shoktrepet backing off, preparing for that rage gen. Juggernaut's trying to back their way even further out, maybe to avoid the rage gen, but if they're not careful, they're going to end up in it here any moment. Marv is still harvesting resources down in the south. There is a really great EMP on the Redeemer. Redeemer is now facing its back armor to the opponent. CyberStorm is going to lose his Redeemer. He's going to lose his legendary unit, and if he's not careful, he's going to lose his MCV. MCV, no, you've got to deploy, and there it goes. It is taken down. Such a costly mistake, losing the Redeemer, losing the construction yard. CyberStorm's not looking too hot for the moment. He does have a good chunk of bike and buggy. He does have the TIM core missiles. He does have the EMPs when and where he needs it. Zone troopers are here for the defense of the Marv as they continue to chew on the resources of CyberStorm. That's only going to hurt over time. CyberStorm moving into the old main base and the secondary natural expansion of his opponent, but it does look like Shoktrepet is ready for it. He at least has one watchtower, a couple of units here and there, and most importantly, more and more pit bulls producing their way out. He's got the defender's advantage. May not seem like a lot of forces, but it does add up over time, especially when you have these fast-moving hammerheads who can move their way in and grouped up by these pit bulls. Pit bulls getting a couple of good shots off on the remaining forces of CyberStorm. CyberStorm has got to be hurting in the resource department. Sounds like another Redeemer has popped its way out, and the sell off of the Redeemer Engineering Facility does happen relatively quickly, but CyberStorm is not in a good spot from an economic standpoint. And it looks like he's going to lose even more of his forces over here. Shoktrepet just not done with his assault. Shoktrepet just not allowing CyberStorm to back his way out. There is an EMP, a couple of Raider Buggies getting a couple of the pit bulls, and they were actually able to turn it around there at the very end, but he does go in and he overstays his welcome just a little bit too much. CyberStorm cannot afford, literally cannot afford these trades right now. While on the other side, Shoktrepet can afford these trades. Harvester is cautiously moving its way in, noticing the Marv backing its way up, and Pitbull's noticing the Redeemer here in the north. Rage Gen, I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to get one off here in a moment. Marv still harvesting a good chunk of its resources, probably almost made up the cost of itself. We get a legendary unit versus a legendary unit here as the Redeemer is half HP. Pitbull's moving their way in for the defense. If they're not careful, though, those EMP Raider Buddies are going to be a force to be reckoned with if they're not careful. There's the one click by GEI as they get a couple of good shots off on the Redeemer. There is the Rage Gen causing the Pitbulls to attack each other, but it is over just as quickly as it spawns. EMPs are going to hit the Marv, but I'm not sure how much that matters because these pit bulls are here for the defense. More and more EMPs happening for the Marv. That is going to be unfortunate. I think those Raider buggies are doing a great job. Hammerheads finally making their way in over here for the defense, and things are starting to fall apart for CyberStorm. Once again, he was making some good gains there until these Hammerheads made their way onto that map. That Marv is still EMP'd. That Marv is still down. Another EMP goes off. CyberStorm just not allowing this Marv to do what it's supposed to do, not allowing this Marv to do anything. And actually, I think the Redeemer got an EMP right there. There it is. CyberStorm is thrown in the towel. He just was not able to keep up with Shoktrepet. Marv moving its way in there at the final part, getting a little bit of a victory dance on top of the other legendary units. Things are definitely heating up. I'll see you in round number 4, Commander. Here it is, Tournament Underground. Over in the bottom right-hand section in the red, still hanging on to his black hand, we of course have CyberStorm. CyberStorm's opponent has been Shoktrepet and still is Shoktrepet, who is still in his Cyan and still in his GDI. Both players sticking to their guns, both players trying to find an advantage on top of each other. Actually getting a little bit of an aggressive engineer by Shoktrepet going for that contested Tiberium spike. He was able to grab one over there, and for those who don't know, when you grab that Tiberium spike, you saw that plus 500. They do pay for themselves on that first initial capture. All captures afterwards are not able to do it. There is another spike over here in the north. If Shoktrepet could grab that, that could prove to be a small amount of a boon, but he does not have the barracks anymore. Barracks already got the sell off, and we actually have our first early pitbull moving its way in. Gonna get a couple of good early shots, and most importantly, scouting on top of CyberStorm. CyberStorm not having an answer to it just quite yet. I say that he's also going to see this flame tank, and he's going to see that flame tank rush coming his way. That is a good thing to notice. Now the element of surprise is no longer on his front doorstep. Probably going to get another flame tank here in a moment. I suspect maybe a bike. Nope, actually he decides to go bike instead. Flame tank a little bit expensive, but if he can get something to rock off with it, that would be in his advantage. That is for sure. Flame tank poking and prodding, looking for a soft target to grab. Predator tanks out for Shoktrepet, and Shoktrepet sort of dancing his Predator tank around, maybe expecting something to come from the north, but the flame tank is actually coming from the south. Secondary Predator tank and Pitbull should be enough to take out this flame tank. Flame tank goes down to half HP. Shoktrepet not allowing this aggressiveness to happen. Predator tank moving its way in, taking more shots on the flame tank. Bikes moving their way in to take out the Predator tank. That is the threat to the flame tank, and taking that out would be super great for them. There is no answer right now yet to the black handle. Watchtower would be really good. Predator tank moves its way in, starting to fight all of these bikes, but the forces aren't here for it. I'm not sure what happened to the flame tank, but it does need to be making some sort of action somewhere. It does need to be making some sort of gains. I think it did back its way all the way out, which means that despite all of this stuff that CyberStorm is doing, he could also have his flame tank up and about, dealing a good chunk of damage. Flame tank went all the way back to the base. That is extremely unfortunate. Watchtowers are out here to kill the Black Hand squads, and the assault is finally over inside of Shoktrepet's base. CyberStorm still not finding the purchases quite that he wants. He is backing his flame tank up to get some repairs. If that flame tank was there, he definitely could have killed a power plant. He definitely could have killed a watchtower. It's easy to say in hindsight, but if you're going to go for the assault, you know, why not continue with that two-pronged assault while you can? You did have a bit of domination inside of your opponent's base. No reason not to continue that fight. Cabal Cavester squads moving their way in, looking for a scout, trying to see what the they can see before everything starts to begin. Flame tank moving its way in. Predator tank does get taken down by all of these bikes. Bikes getting their ways pushed into the watchtowers, but I'm not sure how much it's going to matter. Flame tank moving its way in, probably going to go for a power plant, probably going to go for a watchtower. There it is. They're actually deciding to go for maybe the refinery. No, he hasn't decided what he wants to do. Actually, he's going to go for the war factory. Make up your mind, CyberStorm. You're wasting precious time as your bikes die left and right, but he is going to be able to get the watchtower just in time. No repair, no sell-off. That is going to be expensive. Hammerheads are out, and the flame tank is finally going to go down, but there are buggies here to support all of these bikes. Another sell-off of a refinery for Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet is going to be hurting for resources. Hammerhead is going to get taken out by the combination of the Raider buggies and the bike. There's a good, healthy amount of rifleman squads here, but I'm not sure it's going to matter. These whittling assaults are beginning to erode Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet seeing the writing on the wall, seeing the erosion of his forces and the erosion of his infrastructure, causing him to lose the game and the resource race. I'll see you in round number 5. We are back again on Toxicity. We have, of course, Shoktrepet in the left, top left, I should say, and in the top right, we have CyberStorm, both hanging on to their colors, both hanging on to the factions that they have all played so far, and both doing a little bit of scouting on top of each other. We haven't seen Shoktrepet able to sneak a engineer and pop a foxhole down like you do some of the higher skilled players, but he was able to get a couple of things here and there. Shredder turrets are going to kill the scouts for Shoktrepet before they can really get anything done. But he is going to see if anything was sneaky coming his way. He probably did see that war factory beginning to build its way up, but that is standard to get that additional war factory, to get those bikes and buggies out, which he's probably going to expect. APC's taking a couple of shots at these Confessor Cabal squads, taking them out right at the end and dropping off an engineer, grabbing an early defense tower. Not a bad idea, considering the forces that that CyberStorm has been using. If he can sort of control this upper northern area and continue to pick and prod at this blue Tiberium, that could give him a little bit of an advantage, and getting that defensive tower is going to be nice. Flame tank making its way over to the north. APC should have seen it coming, and hopefully Shoktrepet has some sort of defense for it, although it does look like CyberStorm has had plenty of time to move this flame tank on its way in. One Predator tank is here. That's going to be enough to deal a good chunk of damage to the flame tank, but not kill it outright. He's going to need a secondary tank in order to begin this assault, but it looks like CyberStorm has decided to back off, waiting for the reinforcements of his bikes. Bikes killing the Predator tank. Predator tank going down here rather quickly as the reinforced Predator tank is making its way over here. Watchtower has popped its way down as bike after bike dies. Left and right, more Predator tanks are here. CyberStorm committing to this assault and going to lose a flame tank here any moment. Secondary Watchtower is here for the defense. Another Predator tank has moved its way up. There is a good chunk of damage being dealt to Shoktrepet, but the forces for CyberStorm are finally getting taken out. He is losing his bikes here rather quickly. Body block of the barracks does happen, but it's not enough to save that Watchtower as CyberStorm is able to get another kill. Not quite finding the purchases that he wanted, but he did destroy a lot of Predator tanks, and he did delay Shoktrepet's economy, which are all important things. Black Hand squads taking out the defensive tower in the north. Rocket squads moving their way in, taking a couple of more pot shots at the Predator tanks, just not allowing Shoktrepet to have any forces whatsoever on the map. More and more watchtowers are here, but I'm not sure how much it matters without the AP ammo. They're pretty much shooting candy corn at these units. They are finally going down slowly but surely, but AP ammo would definitely be a wise investment, considering what you are up against, considering that you're up against Black Hand, and considering you're up against some of these squishier units, that AP ammo can make a bit of a difference. If Shoktrepet's not careful, he's going to lose another Harvester at his old base. There we go. Another Harvester is taken down there at the very last minute. The very last bike is taken out just a couple of moments after the very last Harvester has gone down. Does look like CyberStorm was able to grab the Tiberium spike of his opponent. I don't know if he was able to grab that early on in the game or just recently. Confessor Cabal squads moving their way in, doing a little bit of forward scouting, trying to give the Black Hand time to kill this Tiberium spike. Black Hand squads moving their way in, and if they're not careful, they're going to get knocked out here any moment. Confessor Cabal squads are not done. Black Hand squads not figuring out what target they want to go for, having to run away from the Watchtower here in a moment, them getting picked off left and right over by this Tiberium spike. Secondary Watchtower is here, and these Black Hand squads are not going to get away. They're not going to be able to get that Tiberium spike for free. Shoktrepet on top of it when it comes to that defense. And it looks like we may have gotten a all-in by CyberStorm. I don't see his MCV, couple of bikes have popped their way out as Shoktrepet tries to retake his Tiberium spike, but it is unsuccessful. The forces for CyberStorm are looking rather anemic. He is able to grab this blue Tiberium here in the center, uncontested for the most part. More bikes moving their way in, and Shoktrepet is just not allowed to have any forces this time around. These bikes keep going in over and over and destroying them. There is an MCV. It looks like we did get a sell-off and then a rebuild from the watchtower, or from the war factory there, and the natural expansion for CyberStorm is going to be developed. He's going to have a bit of an uphill battle after that was not as successful as it could be. He did take out a couple of harvesters. He did delay the economy a little bit of Shoktrepet, and he did kill a good chunk of his forces, of Shoktrepet's forces, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough to win him the game, and now he is probably going to be on his back foot. Bikes moving their way in, getting the first couple of shots on the Pitbulls. Pitbulls going down very quickly. The bike's just proving to be superior in numbers, superior in firepower, at least for the time being. Raider Buggy moving its way in, doing a little bit of scouting on these Pitbulls, so the bikes know what's ahead of them, and the bikes are going to get more and more kills on these Pitbulls. Pitbulls do group up, and a Predator tank moves its way in for the defense, but the bikes are going to make it out relatively unscathed. CyberStorm doing a bit of a better job capitalizing on his units and being conservative with his units, getting a couple of good fights in here and there where he can, and controlling this blue Tiberium. If he can get a couple more loads of blue Tiberium, if he can control it for a little bit longer, he might be able to pop his way back into the economy game of this round. Nobody really wanting to commit to a massive fight just yet. The assaults have slowed down as the economy probably slowed down a bit for CyberStorm. Another harvester does pop its way out, and the forces for Shoktrepet have moved their way into the center of the map. Not sure where to go, not sure if they need to keep up the defense like they have been, or if they just need to control the blue Tiberium. I would go for the blue Tiberium and fight your way up, because you know that CyberStorm has got to be hurting on the resource front. You can outlast him. You just need to hit that certain part of the graph where you can do more and more. Bike and Buggy moving its way in the north. They do stop to kill a rifleman squad, which might provide precious time for Shoktrepet to regroup. Shoktrepet does pop his units over here, and if he does a good enough job, he's going to be able to catch a good chunk of these bikes. One Pitbull does get caught out, and one Pitbull does go down due to bad positioning. They do take out one bike, and actually the Bike and Buggy are going to get caught in a really bad position over there, as the Predator tank and a couple other units are moving their way in. It looks like Shoktrepet is finally winning one of these fights. He has a staggering amount of Pitbulls, and they're not done. They're dealing damage left and right to all of the forces of CyberStorm. CyberStorm being pushed back into his base, losing Bike and Buggy after Bike and Buggy. There are the rocket squads going to be able to get a decent shot off on the Pitbulls. Some transitioning into AP ammo with maybe some hammerheads, and of course some APCs. There it is. We do have at least six APCs here on the front line, and we don't have AP ammo just quite yet. Some scouting would reveal what CyberStorm has been up to, so it would have been nice to see a couple of units make their way over there, but that's easy to say and a little bit more difficult to do. CyberStorm not done looking for another spot to assault, but Shoktrepet has troops there once again, prepped and ready to go. And there it is. There's the trap. It has been sprung as the Bike and Buggy run their way into this massive amount of Pitbulls. CyberStorm losing more and more forces here. APCs moving their way in, but one is going to get taken down because it is in an unfortunate position. Actually, somehow that APC is going to make it as more and more reinforcements show up here. This assault is in Shoktrepet's favor. If he can move his way in, if he can group his forces, if he can start concaving, things will work out to his advantage. These rocket squads are going to be a lot to deal with as the Pitbulls move in uncontested into their opponent's base. There are plenty of AP ammo, APCs going to be able to take out all of that man spam. Power plant does get sold off, but it gets sold off 4-0, and most importantly, these APCs are not done. They're continuing their assault, and they are on the front doorstep of the Hand of Nod. The Hand of Nod is probably soon to follow. Bike and Buggy with a couple of Scorpions here for the defense. but they're not going to be able to deal with all of these pit bulls, with all of these APCs. It looks like Shoktrepet has this one in the bag. I don't see a way for CyberStorm to get out of this unless he's got an obelisk, but I don't think he is a T3. His economy is too far behind, and Shoktrepet is too far into his face with too many forces, and he loses Harvester after Harvester, and he throws in the towel, giving Shoktrepet another win, giving Shoktrepet a victory in this round. The action is definitely a lot more intense in this last couple of matches. I have one right after this that'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. Hopefully it is as action-packed as these games have been. Speaking of games, I'll see you in the next round. Commander, you do not look so well, but that's okay because we are on Six City. We do get our first change up for this series of matches. It looks like CyberStorm has decided to go GDI, going with the philosophy, if you can't beat them, you join them, and that is very much so what he has done. Shoktrepet hanging on to his GDI, finding great purchases in his transition. I'm excited to see what CyberStorm has in store for us, and it looks like we're getting a super early airfield for GDI. Do we have any mirror for it? Nope, there is no mirror for it, and there are no pit bulls just quite yet. We do have a harvester out for the war factory and a secondary airfield, 2 airfields already, and we're actually getting an all-in. We're getting a GDI all-in. All of these air forces building their way up. We do have a command post. We might get some AP ammo. We do have an ox cart for all of these units, and we have a couple of orcas up and ready to go, at least 3 orcas up and ready to go. Going to be looking for some soft targets for them to be taking, for them to take out. A couple of our orcas have developed inside the airfield as all of the resources are being dedicated to pushing these orcas as far as they can. And speaking of orcas, they have made it to Shoktrepet's base. Shoktrepet doesn't have too much in the defense, but actually has nothing whatsoever here for the defense. After harvester gets taken out, that is 2 harvesters down. That's going to sting. Sure, another harvester has popped its way out, but losing those for free has got to sting. A full load of blue Tiberium and a 3rd harvester do get taken out. There is a pit bull here, but the orcas are here and they are ready. Another set of orcas have moved their way in, and this assault is not over. There are pit bulls here for the defense, but I think it is too little, too late, as another full load of blue Tiberium goes down. Shoktrepet having to sell off a refinery to deal with this all in, trying to sell off the refinery to save himself a little bit of saving grace. They were able to kill 1 orca, but when 1 orca goes down, there are definitely going to be a couple to follow. Orcas flying over the garrison units of their opponents, so these pit bulls are going to know that the orcas are on their way, and they are going to be ready for it as 1 orca does go down. More and more pit bulls pop their way up, killing more and more orcas here for the defense, doing a good job, but there's not enough of them here to do it. They are going to do a good chunk of damage to the orcas that are here, but once again, it is too little too late, as another harvester for Shoktrepet goes down as the orcas make their way out. Shoktrepet just not able to keep up in this defense. It would have been nice to see a whole bunch of rocket squads or something, maybe something a little bit cheaper for GDI to push out than these units, but still easy to say in hindsight. This GDI rush seems to be working out fairly well for CyberStorm. CyberStorm has a good chunk of orcas up and ready to go. A couple of them are still filling up with ammo. There are all of the orcas, and CyberStorm still has nothing really to deal with this. He is not prepared. He is not ready. He only has 2 pit bulls on the front line as all of these orcas come screaming down the center of the map. The Grim Reaper is here, and he is on your front doorstep. They are going to start taking out your pit bulls, and you're going to have nothing left to defend yourself as another harvester goes down. That's either the 6th or 7th harvester. Shoktrepet throwing in the towel, not able to deal with that GDI rush. CyberStorm proving very much so the strategy of if you can't beat them, join them does have merit, does have strategy to it. Able to get another victory under his belt. I'll see you in the next round. Here we are on Badland Hills. This carnage is powered by Barrack Beans, the only beans guaranteed to increase unit production by 0%. Taste the placebo! Mixing it up once again, we have CyberStorm, who has decided to go Traveler 59, but Shoktrepet is sticking to his guns and sticking to his GDI over on the right-hand side of the map. Traveler 59 is building up a good chunk of these descents. These rushes have been working quite well against Shoktrepet, and he's going to try for another one once again. All of these descents are going to be on their way, and I'm not sure Shoktrepet knows that he is Traveler 59 yet, so he's not expecting the descents with fast legs. There they are. They do have the upgrade, and they are making their way over there. Shoktrepet might have seen them there at the very end. A couple of buzzer squads moving their way in, and there is an airfield already out and ready to go for, it looks like, Shoktrepet. Although that airfield may not last very long, considering there's a good chance these descents are going to be able to start taking out a couple of the watchtower gets sold off there at the very end, giving a couple of rifleman squads going to be able to do a little bit more damage to all of these descents going full send for that harvester full of blue Tiberium, and full of normal Tiberium, but still a full load of Tiberium is still a full load of Tiberium. If these descents are not careful, though, they are going to die. More and more of the reinforcements get taken out by the hammerheads. Harvester is finally going to get some damage dealt to it as it's made its way over to the northern section of the map, but that is just to delay the tactics of his opponent. Assimilator is going to take a couple of shots to this, but he's going to sit here on the front lines, and if he's not careful, he's going to die here in a minute. No, actually, he's going to stay up. You got to kill that Assimilator, Hammerhead. You really got to get your hands on it, and it doesn't look like he's going to do it. Actually, it's still just sitting there this entire time. Shoktrepet able to actually hold the defense. Too much money was spent into that rather strange rush. It almost worked there at the end, but he lost too much, and that Forgotten Engineer has got to sting. If he was able to get that, he would have been able to continue the assault, maybe get a sell-off of the airfield and a couple more units on the way. That was a quick one. Let's hope for a longer match in round number 8. Here it is. You knew it was coming. Tournament Odyssey. And we get a double change up this time around. We've got Shoktrepet going Nod, and we have CyberStorm going Nod. Neither one playing Black Hand, neither one playing GDI. They are an accidental mirror for this match number 8, or this round number 8. Engineers come out with a couple of the militant squads, going to start poking around their way around, getting a little bit of scouting off. First buggy, is out for Shoktrepet, with a bike soon to follow with the forces of CyberStorm. Buggy making its way across the map. Hopefully he can kill a couple of those scouts on their way out. He may be able to run a little bit of an interception course, but the bikes are actually going to find the buggy beforehand, taking the buggy down to half HP. Bike moving its way in, starting to do a couple of damage, and not sure it's going to really be able to do anything whatsoever as that Raider buggy gets taken out by the 2 bikes, and now the scouting forces for CyberStorm are uncontested and will be making their way inside of their opponent's base to see if anything sneaky is coming their way. Shoktrepet may be preparing for something a little more sneaky. He did get a bunch of rushes back to back, so not a bad strategy, and we do have a double war factory and I think another sell-off once again, so that Scorpion tank can be worth its weight in gold here in a moment. There's the deployment of the construction yard. There is the Hand of Nod. There are the rockets moving their way in, starting to take out the harvesters of their opponent. One Scorpion tank is here, another Scorpion tank is here, and they're going to be able to do a good chunk of damage to these bikes. They're going to be able to do a reverse move on top of those rocket squads, which is really important, but it's not enough to stop this assault in its track. Shoktrepet is on his back foot. There is the laser turret, going to be able to start taking out a couple of the bikes, but I think it is too little too late after Refinery and Harvester go down left and right. Only 2 Harvesters are left. Laser turrets are doing a good chunk of damage, but I'm not sure how much is here. Those Scorpions do need to do a reverse move and start killing some of those units. This assault does look like it is finally slowed down, and I don't think we have an MCV yet for CyberStorm, unless this is it coming out right now. Okay, I don't know if that was canceled last minute or what went on that, because nothing came out of that war factory, and I can't see what was queued and what was in there. It looks like he possibly canceled something and then went forward. Things are looking favorably for Shoktrepet in this round number 8, in this match. Sorry, Yeah, no, round number 8. I keep getting matched in round backwards, but yeah, in round number 8, he seems to be doing a little bit better. Engineer moving his way into Shoktrepet's Tiberium Spike. That is going to be helpful. He's going to need every single lifeline he can get his hands on, since he did decide to go into an all-in, since he does only have 2 harvesters in order to support this assault. And oh no, it looks like an engineer has been absolutely forgotten over here in this Tiberium Spike for CyberStorm. That is going to be an unfortunate mistake, and it's, most importantly, it's going to be an expensive mistake. Speaking of expensive mistake, engineer for Shoktrepet is going to die on its way over to the watchtower and its way over to the defense tower before anything can really happen. Buggy's getting a couple of good shots off on these infantry squads, but it's too little too late really to do too much, as actually only 1 Buggy does go down. Scorpions are here for the defense for Shoktrepet. Definitely was the call. He did prepare for that rush early on with the Scorpion tanks. He did lose a couple of units, and this poor engineer forgotten right by CyberStorm's base. That is so critical to have that, because he still has the ability to recoup the 500 plus all of the resources coming his way. Bike and Buggy are not done as they try to find another hole in Shoktrepet's armor, and Shoktrepet has had plenty of time to spend at the blacksmith preparing more and better defenses with the Scorpion tanks and with Bike and Buggy of his own. He's soon going to ellipse the economy of his opponent if he has not already. CyberStorm has got to be hurting on resources, especially with not taking those Tiberium spikes. He is going to have a little bit of income here and there, but not enough. Nothing really to write home about. He is still dedicating everything into this Bike and Buggy combination, but Shoktrepet is just not allowing it to happen. Finally, he's been able to get his self together. Finally, he has been able to begin to push Shoktrepet out and push Shoktrepet on his, sorry, not Shoktrepet, and push CyberStorm on his back foot. No natural expansion has been developed quite yet. It looks like the MCV was either sold off or destroyed, and they're going for blow, all in versus all in. The forces for CyberStorm begin to dwindle down more over time, as he's just not able to keep up with Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet doing a very good job of harvesting these resources, doing a very good job of being conservative in this fight instead of being aggressive, where he could have lost a good chunk to defender's advantage. Concave not really here for Shoktrepet. He is finally starting to regroup, but the Concave was a bit better on CyberStorm, but not enough to make up for the numbers of Shoktrepet, as Shoktrepet begins to push CyberStorm back into his base, destroying these units, losing all of these bikes and buggies. It's going to be extremely unfortunate if he can take them out. This is Shoktrepet's game to lose. He is in the lead right now. He has finally been able to get up a little bit of an advantage, backing out last minute, maybe expecting Scorpion tanks. I'm not sure quite yet. Either way, he did win that engagement, and he is still continuing to harvest resources and build up his forces. 2 Scorpion tanks are out for CyberStorm. Those are going to be a linchpin in this fight. I think Scorpion tanks will probably decide this fight, unless Shoktrepet decides to be all over the map. Getting no, not a 4th. We're getting only 3 Scorpion tanks. That's still going to be hard to deal with that, but I guess that's more Scorpion tanks than Shoktrepet has right now. Shoktrepet is going a little bit more into all of these bikes, preparing, going for sort of a numbers over quality, and that can make a difference. A couple of bikes snaking their way around, checking the natural expansion of Shoktrepet, noticing that he is also not developing his economy, and that what he has is going to be dedicated in these assaults going left and right. He does have the forces to take on CyberStorm, but he also has the fog of war, so he does not know what CyberStorm has. I think in this case it would be probably worth to send a buggy in there to scout out your opponent. And Scorpion tanks are actually going to get caught out in a really bad position. Shoktrepet doesn't know that he almost had a really good opportunity there to knock out a good chunk of his opponent. Bikes moving their way in. It looks like the Scorpion tanks are going to finally go down. One's going to get taken out as more bike and buggies move their way in. Shoktrepet winning another engagement as he's being pushed back into his base. His Scorpion tanks are going to go down. Shoktrepet getting a little bit CyberStorm, sorry, getting a little bit of revenge for his Scorpion tanks by taking out his opponent's Scorpion tanks. And actually, we got a little bit of attack bikes over here destroying something. I'm not sure what they were able to get kills on, but Shoktrepet doing a very good job of, once again, you know, hey, my army's over here, but it's also inside of your base. I don't think they were able to get any harvesters. I don't think they were able to see the stealth harvesters. Probably not. And I believe CyberStorm has had 2 harvesters this entire time. Shoktrepet is still building up a couple of forces inside his base, and if he's not careful, it looks like CyberStorm is going to do what Shoktrepet tried to do to him. There is a whole 1 bike here for the defense. There is a laser tower that hasn't gone anywhere, and that is going to be able to do a decent amount of damage, but I think these bikes are actually going to be able to get a harvester, but Shoktrepet doesn't care because he's on the front doorstep of CyberStorm, trying to isolate these Scorpion tanks, trying to take them out. Once the Scorpion tanks go down, everything else is free game. You have the forces, you have the win. It looks like this is about to fall in the bag of Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet definitely has the forces. If he kills those harvesters, he wins this game. There's only 2 on the map as Bike and Buggy after Bike and Buggy destroys each other, destroys Bike and Buggy, but Shoktrepet has the forces. Shoktrepet has the quantity. He is losing a good chunk of units here, but most importantly, CyberStorm is not able to continue to farm, and CyberStorm did lose a harvester in there, and if he's not careful, he's going to lose the second one as well. There it is. There is the final lifeline going down. There's the final harvester going down for CyberStorm. What he has in the bank is all that he has got left. There's the fire cell as he throws in the G, giving Shoktrepet another match. That is it for CyberStorm and Shoktrepet. We only got 8 out of this series. Right after this, we're going to move into series number 3, our match number 3. I'll see you there. There you are, Commander. Welcome to the 3rd match for the evening on the map Winter Meltdown. Starts off in the bottom left-hand corner of the map wearing the blue robe, sporting the Traveler 59. Give it up for MasterLeaf. His opponent for the moment in the top right-hand corner of the map, rocking the yellow, sporting the GDI. Here he is once again, Senna. Both fighters ready. Begin. There you are, Commander. Here we're going into this 3rd match, into this 3rd set for the evening. This has been the one I have been waiting for, MasterLeaf versus Senna. We have seen already what Senna can do, but in this tournament, I don't think we have seen what MasterLeaf can do just about yet. Actually, no, I take it back. I think MasterLeaf may have actually been my second one. These have been so spaced apart for me, I forgot. But yeah, actually, we have seen MasterLeaf and we have seen Senna earlier on. Something I am forgetting, though, is this map is sponsored. This showdown is sponsored by Commanding Crochet, for the commander who likes to knit while waiting on their tech lab. Fake sponsors, I mean definitely real sponsors out of the way. We can now get into the match. We're getting our first Pitbull by Senna and our first Gunwalker by MasterLeaf, with a buzzer squad there in the Gunwalker itself. The secondary Pitbull is out. One is going north, one is going south. They're going to go try to get some decent scouting on their opponent. I did forget to mention Winter Meltdown is, once again, there's a lot of firsts for me in this one. This is not a map I'm familiar with really at all. I can't think I've even seen other casts of this map. Not that it doesn't exist, I just am very, very much so unfamiliar with it. I'm assuming the natural expansion for each one is directly across from each other. Senna developing his first natural expansion quite well, because MasterLeaf is here with a lightning spike inside of Senna's facility. Not getting any harvesters, but he is going to be able to take out an APC. Gunwalker is here to continue with this assault as APC gets focused down after APC. This lightning spike, sorry, is going to soak up a good chunk of damage, but it's not going to stop any of Senna's harvesting just quite yet, even though there's a harvester about half HP. This lightning spike is focusing instead of other stuff, but MasterLeaf is not sitting idly by. He's not only doing that, he's moving shock troopers in the north and going to try to grab a kill. There are a couple of APCs here. There's a watchtower out. Senna is ready for it, but the blink forward does happen, and they almost get a full Tiberium load of for a harvester. That harvester does just barely manage to make it out. MasterLeaf does have time to kill it if he can just turn around and take just a couple of shots on that harvester. There it goes. Shock troopers getting at least one kill for that, going for the early hammerhead, killing or trying to kill the early hammerhead, but just not quite getting it. Lightning spike is now killing a harvester in the south. That harvester has almost full set of Tiberium, and I believe it's going to get taken down here any moment. One more shot and it should go down, and oh no, it gets away just in time. It has barely any HP left whatsoever. Senna's now moving enough forces in here to finally take out that lightning spike. MasterLeaf getting a couple of early gains, but being a little bit behind when it comes to the development of his natural expansion. And now this slow moving rolling armor that we've seen Senna been able to push out before is now making its way towards MasterLeaf. We do have AP ammo. I don't believe we have anything garrisoned inside the APCs, but just 4 APCs with AP ammo against, say, the Gunwalkers, a couple other things, can do quite a decent amount of damage. However, they are not set up for it. They're not concave just quite yet. I'm not sure Senna is paying too much attention, and that is why, because he has hammerheads in the south as well on top of these APCs going for the Gunwalkers. Hammerheads getting pushed out by the Gunwalkers in the south. MasterLeaf on the defensive inside his base, having to deal with these APCs. He doesn't have an answer for that. He doesn't really have any secret takes. He does have a lightning spike here for the defense that is going to start making a bit of a difference. He is going to start dealing some of the damage, and there's also some corruptors here that are also going to help with this assault, going to help out the Gunwalkers and continue with this arrangement. One Gunwalker does get pushed out as another defensive tower does come out for MasterLeaf. MasterLeaf has the forces now to destroy these APCs. While there is a couple more, Senna is going to lose them in not the best spot. One APC is going to be left over there. Another one coming for reinforcements, but if Senna's not paying attention, he's going to lose a bunch of these units. Like losing these Predator tanks will not be particularly great for him. Gunwalkers into the Predator tanks. The Gunwalkers will slowly be able to chew on those tanks, but hopefully MasterLeaf decides to pay attention to them. APC is moving on the harvesters, but it's only going to be able to do so much damage. One Predator tank does get taken out. More APCs moving into the north. Senna is continuing this assault. MasterLeaf is mounting his defense with his lightning tower and a couple of his other forces. He is slowly but surely winning, and most importantly, he is not losing any harvesters. He's able to protect them. Those units are doing what they need to do. Hammerhead's deciding to go in and then turn around quite at the last minute, seeing all of those Gunwalkers. Good call, because that would be near instant death for them. Another Predator tank does get got by this by this combination of units, by these shock troopers, and the shock troopers get another kill left and right. If you can protect those shock troopers, or if you can be sneaky with those shock troopers, or just maneuver them precisely, they can get kill after kill like they are getting here. Predator tanks are going down. There are plenty of Predator tanks here for the fight, and I don't think Senna wants this fight. He cannot win this fight. He cannot win against all of these units. There are the hammerheads there for the save. They're going to be able to do a little bit here and there, but still Predator tank after Predator tank is going to be taken out, as Senna just can't group his forces, just can't get everything together. He's allowed MasterLeaf to develop a ball. He's allowed MasterLeaf to get a couple of units and build up on the defense, and he spent too much time in MasterLeaf's defender's advantage. Senna is finally turning around, but I don't think he has the forces to fight this, even with the Shatterer, and unfortunately the Shatterer is still not in a good position. It's going to get a couple of good shots off of Gunwalkers, but that's really just about it. APC in the north, APC over on the other side. They are trying to do the best they can to sandwich, and they're going to be able to get a couple kills here and there, and actually the forces for MasterLeaf are finally beginning to dwindle down just a little bit. Senna slowly but surely winning this fight. Hopefully we're going to see some sort of transition away from this combination for MasterLeaf, because this is no longer working, at least not with the forces that he has right now. Shock Trooper is able to get another 2 kills there, but the important thing is they need to get these Shatterers. Senna not paying attention to his micro, walking his Shatterers up into that front line. That's not going to be super great for him. He needed to put those Shatterers a little bit further back to get a couple of pot shots, put them behind the APCs, because that's going to be where a good chunk of your damage is coming from. However, APCs with AP ammo are going to do a good chunk of damage to the forces of MasterLeaf, but it's not going to be enough as only 2 APCs remain from that fight. Another 3 here for the reinforcements, but nothing to write home about. Secondary natural expansion for both Senna and MasterLeaf is slowly but surely developing as MasterLeaf moves into the secondary natural expansion of Senna, hopefully going to be able to catch a couple of these APCs in a bad position. More and more reinforcements are on their way, but Senna is not able to get the concave that he wants. He's not able to get the groups, but it may not matter. He may actually have the forces to push out MasterLeaf, and he is actually doing that. MasterLeaf is grouping up a couple more forces. He does push out a couple more buzzers to suck up a couple of the shots, and it's Gunwalkers versus APCs. We could really use some upgrades for these Gunwalkers, especially with the work that they're doing in, but MasterLeaf has decided to go for more Gunwalkers. He's decided to go for quantity over quality. Couple of hammerheads getting got in the north in the secondary natural expansion of MasterLeaf. One Gunwalker getting caught in a rather precarious position as all of these APCs kind of have to go single file down this road. They are much bigger than the road sets. I guess they can kind of fit in a lane or so. Yeah, I guess they could if the pathing was better. APCs moving into the secondary natural expansion of MasterLeaf with the Hammerheads leading the charge. Hammerheads taking a couple of shots at the Gunwalkers, but if they're not careful, they're going to run into that plasma missile battery. There is one in low power mode, which is unfortunate. MasterLeaf needs to get that up rather quickly. Gunwalkers moving into the APCs in sort of a bad position. They are sandwiched in between all of this damage. A couple of Harvesters are also sandwiched with this as well. APCs are taking a couple of shots at Harvesters here and there, but it doesn't matter because the Gunwalkers have completely backed their way out as Senna moves into MasterLeaf's base. MasterLeaf does slap down a one-click to slow down the forces, to slow down these APCs, to try to get something going. MasterLeaf tries to get a couple of Mechapeds in there, but it is futile. The head gets targeted rather quickly, and they get killed by the Shatterers. Another Mechapede just barely manages to make it out in time. MasterLeaf throwing in the towel in this first round, giving the victory to Senna. Things are definitely heating up. I'll see you in round 2. Here we are on the map, Tournament Highlands. MasterLeaf has switched over to his black hand and is held on to his blue. Senna, of course, is staying the course with both his color and with his GDI faction. Black hand into GDI, a good rematch to see a couple of times in this one. The dynamic is always something to look at. The transitions are always something to look at. MasterLeaf using his Hand of Nod to push out a couple of rocket squads, forcing a little bit of a small rush. I think Senna did catch it when he sent these rifleman squads in over here. I'm not sure. I mean, there's a chance he was not paying attention, but there's not a crazy amount to do early on. First pit bull for Senna is out and is on the scout. It's going to be able to maybe see these. No, actually the pit bull is going to completely miss the infantry of his opponent, the infantry of MasterLeaf, but it is going to make his way into his opponent's base. There is the foxhole. Foxhole is out, and it's going to slow these units down just ever so slightly, but Senna's going to know that it is on its way. Foxhole goes down, and the infantry is soon to follow. And actually, we've got a Reckoner there. It's moving its way. Pitbull did catch it, taking it down to half HP. That Reckoner is almost knocked out. That's an expensive mistake for MasterLeaf to make, or a lucky find for Senna to find. Reckoner moving its way in, having almost no HP whatsoever. Gonna get taken out by a Predator tank. It only has just this barely amount of HP. There's next to nothing left into the gas tank, but he is gonna try to use it to bait this Predator tank out just a little bit. Second Reckoner is moving its way in, is going to look for another spot to slap itself down. Construction yard is here with a watchtower for the defense. I believe MasterLeaf backed that Reckoner all the way back out to his base to get some repairs. That does appear to be the case, so he was able to salvage that ever so slightly, but Senna knows about the rush and nothing's really going to be able to come for that. Reckoner going into the secondary natural expansion maybe of his opponent, or electing into the main base of his opponent, but he's got nothing to put in it right now. No, I take it back. There actually are two rocket squads here. Rocket squads are going to unleash on the Harvester. Harvester's going to be able to get away. It's got plenty of time to deal with that. Watchtower is out, and Watchtower is going to get focused down by these units. Black Hand squads and a couple other units are going to focus on the tower of the Tiberium spike of Senna, slowly being able to kill it over a time. Reckoner with two rocket squads is going to do a okay amount of damage, almost get a Predator, but the Predator is going to back out and get some repairs. It does look like this Reckoner rush is not going to do too much for MasterLeaf, but he's only going to lose one Reckoner and two rocket squads. He has another one floating around somewhere, and in that time he was able to grab the Tiberium spike of his opponent. There's the second Tiberium spike for him to grab over there. APC moving into these squads and is going to get taken out, going to get sent to his doom. But he's going to know that MasterLeaf is on his top. Black Hand squads into the Reckoner. Reckoner looking for another spot to assault, possibly going to the north to regroup with his infantry over here. Predator tank doing a little bit of scout, doing a little bit of poking around, maybe looking for that Reckoner, but just barely missing it. MasterLeaf should be able to slap this thing in here pretty soon, and once the Reckoner is deployed, it can also get a good chunk, or it can get another slot in there. Reckoner parking its way in between the refinery and in between the war factory. This is the best situation that he could possibly end up into. War factory's at half HP and there's nothing to stop it. Reckoner still has the majority of his HP as the war factory does finally get destroyed, and now the Reckoner gets to focus on this refinery, finding amazing costs. Amazing purchase in this Reckoner. Two Black Hand squads are enough to take it out. Watchtower gets destroyed. Power plant gets destroyed. Secondary Watchtower gets destroyed. Senna is just absolutely losing his base. Reckoner is officially living up to its title in this, and it is doing exactly what it says on the tin, even destroying another refinery here in a moment. The refinery is at half HP, but it's deciding to go for the APCs instead. One APC does get taken out, and there's nothing here left for the defense of Senna. Senna is down a Tiberium spike. Senna is down a war factory, a refinery, a power plant, and a bunch of different units. And to top it all off, there's a couple of bikes on this, and MasterLeaf is not letting the pressure up whatsoever. He's sending more and more forces, more and more reinforcements in this. Senna is all but out of this match. I'm not sure there's much of anything at all. AP ammo was never able to get finished in time. Low power mode is happening for Senna. Senna still has a good chunk of harvesters up, but he is not throwing in the towel just quite yet. He's still producing units, but MasterLeaf is all over the map. MasterLeaf is everywhere, assaulting everything that he can as much as he can. Looks like Reckoner did get destroyed, and the Black Hand squads were able to pop their way out. Watchtower is up. Watchtower is probably going to go down here in a moment if it's not able to take out what units are here. He is going to finally get the rockets there slowly but surely. Black Hand squads moving into the north, destroying that last little lifeline left of Senna's. Senna needing all of the resources he can get his hands on. A good chunk of bikes still there, up and raring to go, combined with these heavily ranked up Black Hand squads who were able to just destroy so much. We might even get to see them make it to heroic, making their way over to the Watchtower. Watchtower is in low power mode. Not much the Watchtower can do here in a second. There it is. Low power mode has ended for the Watchtower. Black Hand squad is moving in. They need to start moving their assault onto that Watchtower. Watchtower does finally get taken out there in the end, but another one is there quickly to replace it, along with a couple of APCs and probably AP ammo. There it is. There's the APCs, and there is the AP ammo. Rocket bikes getting their sort of butts handed to them in the center of the map, not able to fight these APCs, not able to deal with them. Flame tank is going to get spotted. Senna should be able to isolate that flame tank and take it out relatively quickly, and that's going to be unfortunate for MasterLeaf unless he's got another one in the north, which I do not believe he does. I do not see anything sneaking around there, and MasterLeaf has grabbed his secondary natural expansion, which is, of course, is the contested natural expansion. A couple of hand of nods on the front line, couple of Convestor Cabal squads inside this garrison, but going to get destroyed just as quickly as they can really do anything whatsoever. Bike's not able to do much of anything for this current moment. MasterLeaf deciding to ignore his opponent's assault, sending the lion's share of his infantry into his opponent's base, along with a couple of those bikes. Not a crazy amount on the defense, except for the shredder turrets with the upgrades. They are going to be able to take out a good chunk of these APCs. That's going to dampen the defense of Senna as things have moved into the full engagement onto Senna's secondary base. Couple of hammerheads going down left and right, watchtower up and watchtower down, APCs getting taken out, but it looks like the gas in the tank for this assault has finally ran out as the last little bit of infantry goes down. More and more APCs. Senna has turned himself into an absolute powerhouse despite losing all of those resources, despite losing all of that infrastructure. It did delay him from taking over the map, but he has not given up, and he has continued to push this armor and build and build and build, and it has worked out for him in the past, and he's hoping that he can make something work out for this. This assault has begun as sort of Senna's doing this drive-by into all of these shredder turrets and a couple other things. They do see the Redeemer engineering facility, but I think the Redeemer is going to be out in more than enough time. Senna's going to lose the majority of his forces trying to kill this Redeemer and might just barely get it. No, there is the saw. MasterLeaf sold it probably just a little bit too soon. That Redeemer was almost out, but either way, at least he was able to save some money, save some of his resources, but he is going to be sent back a Redeemer. He does have purifiers here with their AoE and with their damage. This secondary natural expansion for MasterLeaf is developing quite nicely. He's going to be able to lose a harvester up in the north, and he's going to move an assault. There is actually, on the other side, with Senna's build this Reclamator hub, and his Marv is almost halfway done, almost halfway ready to go. With the APCs and a couple other mix-up, it could make a big difference. There is the decoy army out. Another watchtower goes down. Another watchtower comes up. There is a Juggernaut here for the defense. Laser fence on the Reclamator hub, and the Redeemer is, or sorry, the Marv is soon to follow, soon to pop his way out. Purifier making its way over towards the back line, hitting the soft targets. Hopefully going to go for these Juggernauts and a couple other things as the majority of the forces for Senna begin to fall. That Marv is almost out. Two more Juggernauts in the background taking artillery shots when and where they can. Another watchtower with AP ammo pops out. Marv does show up very last minute. Senna getting a small sell-off, but the Marv is here, and it's going to deal a good chunk of damage to these forces, but it's also going to have a good chunk of damage dealt to it in turn. Purifier moving on the Juggernauts, wanting to take out those targets that are going to be the majority of the thing to worry about. This Marv is something also to worry about, and the forces for MasterLeaf have begun to dwindle just a little bit. Couple more reinforcements are on their way. Marv is at half HP. Both Juggernauts go down. Purifier is left uncontested inside what's left of the old main base, and it looks like MasterLeaf has managed to win this assault. I'm not sure what they can do. There is the one click on top of the Marv. Marv taking even more damage, getting even less and less HP. No engineer to pop into it just quite yet. It is by itself. It is on its own, and more reinforcements from MasterLeaf are beginning to walk their way into Senna's base. Marv is almost completely taken out. Senna doesn't have too much left to deal with, too much to fight. His construction yard is down to half HP. MasterLeaf backs off just a little bit for a small reprieve, probably waiting on that Redeemer. And of course, MasterLeaf has a couple of Spectres. There are a good chunk of, it looks like, dropped in snipers here to start taking out the Black Hand. Always a good one to call in. Oh no, why are you moving your Marv forward? It is so low health. You need to get some engineers or something. It's going to die here any moment. Purifier making its way back with some rank to MasterLeaf's base. I think we were able to get, nope, there goes the Marv. Marv taken out there just quite at the very end. Watchtowers are up, and I do not believe Senna has a hope to turn this one around. He was doing very good right up until that Marv died. When that Marv died, that was the final linchpin. He also lost a good chunk of APCs, which definitely would have been helpful in this defense. MasterLeaf getting a win right after Senna is able to get a win on him. So far we are 1 for 1 onto each other, moving into round number 3. Match 3 starts on Tiberium Rift. Over in the bottom right, we have MasterLeaf holding on to his purple, but switching it back to Traveler 59. Even though he found great purchase in Black Hand, he's decided to go back to his comfort zone, go back to his primary faction, which of course is Traveler 59. Senna still sticking with his, actually no, Senna not sticking with his guns. Senna switching to Nod. He got sick of the Black Hand tactics, of the Nod sneaky tactics and forces, so he's decided to try it himself against MasterLeaf. Seeker Tank is out and is going to grab its little bit of scouting. It doesn't look like Senna has decided to go anything super weird or do a big sell-off or anything like that. I take it back, but there's the operations center and there is the flame tank. So if MasterLeaf can see that coming, that will help. But if Senna's able to pull one over on him, it'll definitely be interesting. Maybe we can get the sell-off in time of this facility, and MasterLeaf might just barely miss both the Redeemer and the flame tank. Let's see, does he miss it? I think he did see it. He is going to see that the Reclamator is on his way. So that's going to be something for him to prepare for, but I do not think he saw the flame tank whatsoever. I'm not sure where that flame tank disappeared to. Yellow is a little bit hard to see on this map. Seeker Tank moving into those scouts, and Reclamator with Black Hand Squad inside of them are looking for a juicy target. Seeker Tanks are out on the hunt and looking for that Redeemer. Black Hand Squad's flushing out a couple of the forces inside that garrison building, and the Seeker Tanks are going to finally find the flame tank that should be MasterLeaf's cue to move his Redeemer or Reckoner into the northern area. Flame tank not able to find any purchase, dying very quickly. Black Hand's going for the easy target, going for the Tiberium spike, but I'm not sure it's going to matter. The Reckoner does seem to be the primary target. Reckoner does pop itself down, getting itself a little bit more HP, but it is in sort of a useless situation. But at the very least, I guess he did not lose it. Tiberium spike is down for MasterLeaf. MasterLeaf losing that to Senna's Redeemer. I think I swapped up the names there, but either way, that did happen. Black Hand Squad moving in, trying to get another kill. Senna trying to find some purchases in those expenses that he grabbed. Buzzer Squad's going to pop out and kill the Black Hand as quickly as they pop up. But actually, no, Black Hand are able to save themselves just barely in time and beginning to focus on that power plant. But MasterLeaf is moving into his opponent's base. There is the lightning spike that you see typically to follow with MasterLeaf's assault, and they're actually going for this refinery. This refinery is probably going to get taken out here pretty soon. There are the Scorpion tanks, but it might be too little too late. There are the laser turrets there for the defense as well, just barely saving that refinery. The lightning spike is going to continue its assault on it. At the very least, he was able to cost Senna some money, which is going to add up between that flame tank and losing those Redeemer and the Black Hand. Those rush tactics can work particularly well even against some of these higher skilled players, but if they do not work out and if you're not able to find some purchase, it does sort of put you on your back foot. It puts you at a little bit of a disadvantage because you invested those resources into something cheeky opposed to something more standard. Big risk, big reward, and this time Senna received the risk instead of the reward, while MasterLeaf has built up his forces sort of in here in the center. A couple of Seeker Tanks are going to get caught in a bad position, but MasterLeaf is mostly going to ignore it while his Seeker Tanks move into his opponent's base and deal more damage to a refinery. Corruptor soon to follow, and there are the Scorpion Tanks moving in for the defense for his opponent. MasterLeaf going for a Harvester, taking it out there. There is the laser turret. MasterLeaf focusing on another Harvester. If they can take it out, that would be good, that they could find their benefit in that, but Seeker Tanks are going to slowly get taken out left and right. There's only 4 left with a single Corruptor. They are going to be able to get a couple of good shots on the Scorpion Tank, and the Corruptor is going to get a couple of decent heals on the units around him. But it does look like Senna definitely has the forces for all of this, and we actually have a mind-controlled unit popping in the garrison. Those cultist squads were able to grab that unit for a small amount of time. Descents moving into the northern part of Senna's base, moving into Senna's old main base as Senna moves the majority of his forces over towards MasterLeaf's so far undefended old main base. He might be deciding to go for the center of the map. It's hard to tell. He does see the descents over here, and that's probably what he is trying to grab and kill by moving these buggies in here. Killing his disintegrators would be particularly great. It does look like the cultists were able to grab a buggy sort of right there at the end, but that is, once again, another small consolation prize. Reckoner is actually still here. No one wanting to spend the time to take it out. Seeker Tank gets killed after Seeker Tank, and MasterLeaf doesn't seem like he has much in the tank. I'm not sure what he has for the defense, and that's why he got a T3 out, which is probably going to cost him the game because he needs some forces here. I'm not sure how he's going to be able to stop that. He is going to delay it with a one-click, leaving mainly just the Raider buggies here to deal the damage. There's only a couple of Scorpion tanks, so maybe this will buy MasterLeaf just enough time in order to stop this assault. One harvester for MasterLeaf just about to go down. There's almost no way it's going to be able to make its way out as the first Mechapede is out. MasterLeaf is transitioned into those Mechapedes, but facing the enemies, killing a couple of buggies, killing a couple of Scorpion tanks, and doing this sort of running away retreat. Another Mechapede is out, developing segments slowly but surely as the forces for Senna have been defeated over here. I take it back. There are a couple of harvesters and a couple of tanks and a couple of units here left and right. Another Scorpion tank is going to get taken out. Mechapede going to die. Somebody did get the head of that Mechapede. Mechapede seeming to delay Senna in both this assault and sort of everything, and Senna not backing his forces up in time, losing everything that he had there. Two rocket squads inside the Reckoner. Reckoner finally going down. MasterLeaf killing it on his way out of his base. We're getting more and more Mechapedes poking their heads around. Raider buggies moving over on this side of the map. Mechapede is here. Hopefully he might use it for the defense. Nope, he's deciding to ignore these buggies completely that are going for his stasis chamber. I take it back. He turns around there at the last minute to go for those forces. MasterLeaf grabbing the blue Tiberium in the center, giving himself some much needed resources. Stealth tank, two stealth tanks for Senna are moving into MasterLeaf's base. MasterLeaf's sort of anemic looking base. Flame tank is also here. One flame tank, two seeker tanks. They're gonna be able to start doing some damage, but so is MasterLeaf. MasterLeaf might be trying a bit of a base race. I'm not sure yet. One power plant just has a little bit of HP left. Looks like those stealth tanks and those flame tanks have turned around to try and go and deal with the Mechapedes inside their opponent's base. T3 is getting targeted down, and if they're not careful, it's going to die. One upgrade does finish. Mechapedes are focusing it down and should be able to get the kill here rather quickly. There it goes. It does finally go down. Mechapedes are still up, but just barely. Stealth tanks are able to take out another Mechapede. Mechapedes trying to get their way out of there as quickly as possible as head gets targeted after head. Last Mechapede is here by itself as it runs into a flame tank. There is no escaping, but at the very least, the tech was delayed for Senna. MasterLeaf at least able to grab that, delaying Senna's tech. We do have a air tower, probably going to get some Venoms or some stealth bombers here in a moment. I'm guessing more of the stealth bombers. Nope, I was wrong. He is deciding to go Venoms. I don't know how Venom breaks down into the dynamic against Traveler 59. Another Mechapede gets taken out by these stealth tanks. Stealth tanks moving their way in, taking a couple more pot shots at that power plant, finally finishing it off. Descent's trying to run them down, but there's only so much that they are going to be able to do. Instead of continuing with the guerrilla warfare, continuing with these hit and run tactics as a flame tank misclick moves into MasterLeaf's base, and MasterLeaf doesn't do too much of anything to stop it. Descent's moving their way in and get killed just as quickly as they come for that assault. Black Hand squads are moving probably on this portal, but the lightning spike is here to start doing a good chunk of damage along with the descents trying to mop up a couple of those units. Stealth tanks are going to grab a free gunwalker kill as MasterLeaf just sort of blindly walks a couple of units into Senna's base. He needs to try to group up here and there. I'm not sure what his plan is. I'm not sure what he's doing. This has been kind of a weird game for him, I feel, especially composed to some of the other ones. MasterLeaf just not feeling it, throwing in the towel, giving Senna the victory, maybe messing up his build and just deciding to spend his brain power on the next match. Here here we are on Toxicity. This match is brought to you by Radar Jam. Not just a technical ability, now a breakfast spread. Over in the top left, we still have MasterLeaf hanging on to his color and switching to Steel Talons this time around. Looks like Senna has decided to go Black Hand, taking a note from MasterLeaf's book, at least when it comes to the IES International, or International Invitational. There is our airfield up, no AP ammo for any of the units just quite yet, although it's probably way too soon to grab that operation centers and grab this AP ammo, but it is not too soon to grab these orcas. Probably gonna try and get a couple of sneaky tactics, maybe going Steel Talons into Air Force to try and trip up his opponent, although I don't think Senna knows. And actually, there's the one click, a couple of Wolverines and Pitbulls moving their way into the base of Senna. Senna probably going to lose a Harvester, at the very least going to force a Harvester out of this area. A Harvester backs its way all the way into the refinery. Buggy is out, Foxhole is down, body block for the power plant, and a couple of Shredder turrets are here, but they're not going to be able to do the appropriate amount of damage. MasterLeaf doing a good chunk to all of these Harvesters, as Harvester after Harvester does get taken down. MasterLeaf doing a really great Steel Talons rush that you don't get to see too often. A third Harvester is about to get taken out. Senna is in a precarious position. MasterLeaf just able to get amazing kills, although Senna has managed to bounce back from worse. But that is still going to hurt. That is going to make a difference in the game and put a feather in MasterLeaf's hat. Last Wolverine does finally get taken out slowly but surely. That rank did not save it from death. It only delayed it. 2 lightning spikes on this map, as I'm sure you have seen before, along with 1 set of blue Tiberium. Senna did decide to grab the defensive tower. I'm guessing probably so MasterLeaf could not, but it does give him some vision to see if MasterLeaf is doing some other sneaky stuff. However, it is not going to stop these orcas who are moving their way in, still taking a couple of more shots at Harvesters. Foxhole dealing a bit of damage here and there, but nothing really to write home about, as these orcas just are not able to find a purchase like they did last time, not able to find the kills like they wanted last time, but they are not done searching. Unit for Senna does get taken out. Marv does get spotted, and it looks like Senna or MasterLeaf has decided to ignore it and go for the easier target, go for the more vulnerable target, which is the Harvester. Harvester does get taken out. Orcas finally finding the kills that they need, or the kill that they needed. 1 does go down, but that is a small price to pay to disrupt the economy of your opponent. 1 click going almost at the most opportune time they possibly can for that refinery, almost destroying the Harvester. The Harvester is going to be hurting, which means if more orcas run their way in, they can take it out. Buggies are now inside of MasterLeaf's base, looking for a couple of targets here and there where they can find it. Orcas moving in, destroying 1 Harvester, trying to kill another Harvester. Senna just cannot keep any Harvesters inside this base whatsoever. That's gotta be hurting, although MasterLeaf is spending a bunch of resources on orcas and a couple of 1 clicks and a few other things, which means that his natural expansion has not developed just quite yet. No answer to these Raider buggies as they continue to deal damage to the power plant of MasterLeaf. They're just sort of sitting inside there, just like the Foxhole on the opposite side. First Titan is out, and that's going to be what it's going to take to push out these Raider buggies. 1 Raider buggy may go down. He just barely makes it on time. And oh no, actually, that is a dead end. There is nowhere for them to go. That Titan should at least get 1 of these guys here in a moment. No, he does not have the damage. He does not have the time to take it out as the Raider buggies make their way out. Nothing really to write home about. Those Raider buggies are not worth a crazy amount. A lot of times they're just used as meat shields. They're not too bad on air defense, nowhere near the best. There's plenty of other things that are better, but at the very least they can shoot up. 2 orcas have finished their refueling and are going to start looking for another soft target to go for, or maybe a hard target if they are feeling particularly lucky, but I don't think they have that kind of damage. Raider buggies are going to spark the orcas, which is probably where they're going to find their value for that. And it actually looks like we've got a refinery here on the blue Tiberium by Senna. Senna trying to save his harvesters, but just not able to do it. There it is. He sells off the refinery and probably sells off the rest of his units. MasterLeaf just was able to pick off harvester after harvester, destroying the economy of Senna, not allowing him to take a breath, not allowing to take that breather in order to put himself back together. Match 5 is on its way. Match 5 is on Six City. Looks like we have Steel Talons once again by MasterLeaf. MasterLeaf over here in the north, Senna, of course, in the south. We have a mirror match of what we just got to see in Toxicity between Steel Talons and Black Hands. Not mirror match between each other, just them picking the same color and same faction that they picked in the previous match. Six City having a good chunk of units to garrison their way in, so it's going to be hard to get anything sneaky off. Not impossible, but definitely a little bit more difficult. Watchtower for MasterLeaf here for the defense, taking out the scouts of Senna as quickly as possible. Second harvester for Senna has popped its way out, but it looks like it's just a little bit behind the harvester of MasterLeaf. Secondary refiner is out with that third harvester on its way. Senna is right there with him in the economy. Buggy is out, going to move his way into MasterLeaf space to see if something sneaky is coming his way, looking for that airfield that he saw last time and not going to find it. Gonna sit in the center of the base, dealing a little bit of damage to whatever it can, but mostly just sitting there acting as recon. Backing its way out, the buggy is going to make its way into the center of the map, poking and prodding, looking around, not really doing too much, taking hits from this garrison unit. That's actually a really interesting spot for a what's it called? Tiberium spike. Does appear to be 2 Tiberium spikes per person, as well as their own personal set of blue Tiberium with a large field afterwards for them to transition into, like over here, for example. I don't know if y'all are seeing it on your end, but I am getting a little bit of stuttering this time around. I am trying the program that both Cyber and Bike Rush were talking about, which is the lossless scaling. I did try to follow the settings the best of my ability, and I didn't notice the stuttering before. Maybe it's because I got some weird alt-tabbing happening earlier. It's hard to tell. Pitbull by MasterLeaf is going to take a couple of shots on the Harvester. Nothing really to write home about as of right now. Wolverine's out for the Steel Talon faction, out for MasterLeaf, marching their way down the center of the map, probably going to try to regroup with a couple of these forces or go in solo. Fourth Wolverine is making its way down as MasterLeaf's going to find a couple of good soft targets to go for. Going to be able to take out a couple of these infantry with Wolverines. This is what the Wolverines are designed for, to destroy these infantry, and they're doing a very good job at it as all of those forces go down for Senna. Buggy being a pest on the other side, but the important part is dealing with these Wolverines. It does look like the laser turret is finally getting to focus a couple of good shots on the Wolverines, forcing the Wolverines and forcing MasterLeaf outside of Senna's base. Buggy gonna try and track down and destroy, do a good job of destroying this Wolverine. MRT is here, but it was not able to get there in time for MasterLeaf in order to save that. Couple of rocket squads and actually a combat engineer is gonna get spotted over here. That Buggy's gonna try to hunt him down and does take him out there at the very end. That is a great purchase for that Raider Buggy, being able to get that kill. Scorpion tanks inside of MasterLeaf's natural expansion, destroying a harvester almost completely filled with blue Tiberium. A little bit of man spam is moving from Senna's base north, probably going for the main base of MasterLeaf here pretty soon. Orca is out, and that's going to be a good call into these Scorpion tanks, because Scorpion tanks cannot look up. Titan is going to get isolated and killed in a rather unfortunate spot. Full load of blue Tiberium for MasterLeaf, making it back to his base. Hopefully that'll make up for the loss he had over here, make up for the Harvester that he lost filled with Tiberium right there. One Scorpion tank is still here inside of MasterLeaf's base, being a pest, dealing some damage and getting some scouting for his opponent. Rig is being repaired and is out for MasterLeaf and is going to support this assault moving its way forward. MasterLeaf finally deciding to wipe out the garrisons, finally moving his way forward and hopefully able to catch a couple of these infantry. Here we go. Fight has begun in earnest. MRT moves its way up and MRT gets taken out just as quickly as it's there, but it doesn't matter because the Wolverines are able to mop up the majority of these forces, are able to mop up the only threat to them, which is these rocket squads. However, where those go down, more are soon to follow. The man spam for Black Hand is here against the Steel Talon Wolverines. Who will come out on top? We'll get to find out right here together, Commander. This is sort of a pick and choose sort of spot when it comes to the positioning. Rig gonna get scouted and the repair is out on it as the Wolverines begin to defend it and take out a couple of shots. Rig doing a good job absorbing a good chunk of that damage, giving MasterLeaf time to whittle down the forces of his opponents using these Wolverines. Wolverines proving their weight in gold, doing an absolute phenomenal job into Black Hand, destroying the infantry of Black Hand left and right. But he's going to take a couple of pot shots at a Harvester with a load of full blue Tiberium, making its way back to its opponent's base. MasterLeaf moving into Senna's base, trying to take a couple of these units, but these Wolverines are in a little bit of a bad position while the others begin to focus on the garrison units over there. But it doesn't matter because these Wolverines are so good at what they do. The Black Hand is just not staying out in time, and even the laser turrets are beginning to fall to all of these Wolverines. The Wolverines so far just cannot be stopped. It looks like there's a small force for Senna moving their way over there, but I'm not sure how much that's going to be able to get done. A couple of Wolverines can also deal with those as well. Cannonade goes down, power plant goes down, and Senna's going to start losing his base to MasterLeaf. Senna is in a not super great spot. He's in a base race without the forces to fully finish that base race. War Factory goes down, power plant soon to follow. A little bit of the forces of Senna have grouped over here, but here are the Wolverines to deal with the lion's share of the damage. Command post is getting targeted, trying to kill that probably AP ammo that is being so useful for the Wolverines. Wolverines have found a good hard target, which is the construction yard for Senna, and Senna's about to lose his build. There it is. He has lost it, and he does not have anything so far to deal with all of these Wolverines inside his base. Wolverines moving their way forward, going after those rocket squads, trying to get everything. There is the fire cell. Senna's destroying everything and calling it a game, calling it a GG. Those Wolverines, those Steel Talons by MasterLeaf was just too much for him to deal with. Match number 6, or round number 6, is on its way. Match 6 is here on Tournament Dust Bowl. Over in the north, we have MasterLeaf holding on to his color and actually pushing a little bit of a defense route, moving over to his Traveler 59, and the other mix-up is we actually have a Zocom by Senna in the south. Will Zocom be able to stop this massive descent rush that is on its way? Does he even know that MasterLeaf is Traveler 59? Does he know to expect that? And MasterLeaf is doing a pretty good job at avoiding the scouts for Senna, wrapping their way around, correctly predicting where the scouts for Senna would be, and if Senna is not careful, he's about to end up in a precarious position. Sort of getting ready for it. He's got a watchtower, he's got a barracks building their way up. Is that going to be there in time? Second watchtower is out, but low power mode is there. War Factory does get powered down, so the watchtower can move its way over here, and it looks like we're already going to lose a rocket harvester filled with Tiberium. That is one of the first important loads, and MasterLeaf was able to grab it. This match might already be over before it has even started. started. MasterLeaf has too many descents here, and he's doing too much damage. He's going to get a War Factory. He got a Refinery. There is nothing left for Senna to do. There's nothing left for Senna really to be able to get, unless he can get another War Factory out there in time, but that's not going to happen. This game is already over. This is probably one of the most successful descent rushes I have ever seen, and match 6 is already over. Zocom didn't even get to pop its ugly head whatsoever, as MasterLeaf absolutely eviscerated Senna in that one. Moving on to number 7. Here we are on Hampstead Gardens. Hampstead Gardens is brought to you by Kane's Organic Beard Oil, because world domination starts with healthy follicles. Over in the north, we have MasterLeaf going back to his Traveler 59, and we have Senna back on the Black Hand, hoping to find some purchases where he was not able to last time. Hopefully he's going to be able to scout things out. I doubt MasterLeaf is going to do a second descent rush, one immediately after the other, because Senna is probably going to be prepared. Senna is probably going to expect that to come his way. However, it does look like Senna is mixing up the formula a little bit, and he's grabbing his operations center and going to probably grab a flame tank and or a reckoner to try to see what he can get off. Maybe he can do a little bit of a rush. Maybe he can get a little bit of revenge on MasterLeaf here with this combination. There is a flame tank that he's decided to go for. Another item is building up, probably a reckoner. With how quickly those build, if I remember correctly, those build much quicker than the, yep, there it is, there's the reckoner. They build much quicker than the flame tank. Flame tank is out to the north. Reckoner is here, and it's going to get spotted by MasterLeaf. Yep, there it is. Seeker Tank is going to notice it, and so is MasterLeaf, and MasterLeaf's going to hone in on that, going for it as quickly as he can. That is extremely unfortunate. However, that flame tank is around here somewhere and is going to make its way into MasterLeaf's base slowly but surely. And actually, is the Reckoner faster than the Seeker Tank? That's rather interesting. I thought the Seeker Tank was going to be able to chase it down and take it out quick and in a hurry, but that does not appear to be the case. Flame Tank is moving its way out. There is the deployment of the... No, actually, Black Hand squads are still inside. That's the Confessor Cabal squad. They ran by. Reckoner is in here in a good spot. Needs to deploy rather quickly. Back to half HP, and most importantly, right here by all of MasterLeaf's infrastructure as the Flame Tank moves its way in. Seeker Tanks are focusing on it, but a power plant is going to get taken down, and then Flame Tank is going to be able to help with that. I'm pretty sure soon to follow here is going to be this extractor, the refinery for Traveler 59. MasterLeaf is in deep trouble. MasterLeaf is in low power mode. Another power plant has popped its way out, and that Reckoner goes down just in time for MasterLeaf to catch a small little bit of a breather. He lost a good chunk of forces there. That was a good rush, a more successful rush by Senna. Senna doing a good job with his flame tank and doing a good job with his Reckoner, attacking from both sides and outpacing that Seeker tank, which is something I did not realize they can do. MasterLeaf has a couple of Seeker tanks here and ready to go, and they are looking for some revenge. They are looking for something to snack on in order to make up for the damage that Senna dealt to MasterLeaf's base. MasterLeaf's, at the very least, his economy seems to be developing quite nicely. I think he's decided to go 5 harvesters inside his, while I know we also have 5 harvesters for Senna as well. I thought he only had the 4 for the time being. However, the natural expansion for Senna is significantly more developed than MasterLeaf. MasterLeaf having to get delayed a little bit by losing all of those forces. Seeker tanks had moved in with 5, and now they are coming out with 3. Obviously, 2 died somewhere, probably to the Scorpion tanks. Scorpion tanks are making their way towards the center of the map. There is no blue Tiberium here for them to grab, but controlling it is not the worst to do. I don't know, on this map, the center of the map doesn't seem as important or as crucial as some of the other ones. Almost nobody goes for the EMP control centers. I guess the 500 for the engineer is just not worth it. Scorpion tanks moving their way in, but MasterLeaf is here for it. MasterLeaf is prepared. He's got a photon cannon on the front line and plenty of Seeker tanks to deal with all these assault. There are a couple of Raider buggies here to soak up some of the damage, but it's not going to matter as Senna is going to reposition and regroup, trying to look for another shot where it can grab, but MasterLeaf is going to mirror him. MasterLeaf is going to follow him right there. There is a photon cannon that was in low power mode and only going to be able to get one shot off right there. Seeker tanks still continuing to mirror their opponents, still continuing to mirror nod as they turn around. MasterLeaf is absolutely on top of it and trying to cut these units off as quickly as he possibly can. Seeker King's getting a couple more shots off at the Raider buggies. Things aren't looking good for Senna's assault. Senna is taking a lot of unnecessary damage and is going to lose at least one tank out of that engagement, but MasterLeaf is not done. He wants this engagement. He wants to move in. However, the concave is not here within his units, are not grouped just quite enough. Senna moving in on the Tiberium spike. MasterLeaf probably soon to follow for the defense with all of these Seeker tanks, but maybe not able to make it there in time, or maybe not paying attention to it. I'm not sure yet. Either way, he loses a Tiberium spike for free. Maybe he saw that there's just too much to deal with for the time being. There's too many Scorpions, too many meat shields in the form of Raider buggies to deal with that. Photon Cannon still getting a couple of decent shots off here and there. MasterLeaf's secondary natural expansion is developing quite nicely, and he has a good chunk of Seeker tanks. He has a good chunks of Photon Cannons. Couple of the scouts are going to get scouted out themselves and killed rather quickly. MasterLeaf's harvesters are about to be in danger. He's going to have to back them up or send all of his Seeker tanks in beforehand. Senna's gonna have to commit to this. There is the one click. Senna is in a very, very bad spot. The majority of his units were grouped up there. There is the lightning spike. MasterLeaf is gonna be able to pick apart his opponent now. There's gonna be too much damage that they're gonna be able to do here. This is MasterLeaf's fight to lose, and I don't think it's gonna happen here with the lightning spike here with the positioning. MasterLeaf set up that trap. He saw it, it clicked in his brain, and he was able to get the rewards from that assault. That's going to be a good chunk of units down. MasterLeaf's main base is under threat from 3 flame tanks. It looks like that may have been a little bit of a trade, but I feel like that was a pretty expensive trade to do. MasterLeaf has transitioned into Mechapedes, starting to fight a couple of these flame tanks, trying to stay ahead of them as the Seeker tanks move their way in to contest the flame tanks. Luckily, most of the Tiberium for MasterLeaf is gone inside of that little base. The flame tank's actually getting a couple of free shots on the drone ship, but it doesn't matter because the Mechapedes and other units are here to get it. Ranked up flame tank is about to go down, hopefully getting some ranks to one of the Seeker tanks, and there it is. Seeker tank does have a little bit of rank to itself. Seeker tank's backed up by at least one Mechapede, but MasterLeaf is down to the one base. He does have his warp center, which is what he needs to get his legendary unit to, which is what he needs to get his Eradicator Hexapod up and out on the map. Definitely a good call that would be super, super helpful for him. Flame tank's going to get spotted by the lightning spike that was left there, and a couple of the Seeker tanks getting ready for that assault. It looks like Senna's not going to be able to pull it over twice on MasterLeaf. MasterLeaf's going to continue his assault, going to continue his engagement. Actually, he's not going to continue assault. He's going to back off for whatever reason, maybe trying to see what is inside the natural expansion, maybe try to make sure that that is protected, and then he decides to turn around and go for the old main base of Senna with a Purifier and a couple of Shredder turrets in it. MasterLeaf going to poke his head in and immediately poke his head out. That is a good call because there is a large set of forces by Senna making their way over here, along with another flame tank making its way around to the north, looking for a good assault here. The Eradicator Hexapod is going to be ready for the defense, but this man spam over here and this Purifier are going to be something to deal with. Seeker tanks do have their upgrade, and they are going to be able to take out this flame tank before it does any real damage. Purifier is still up on the right. Units are moving in on the left, but it's nothing to write home about. MasterLeaf's faster moving units are going down over here to the south. Going to run into the man spam and hopefully be able to get a couple of free harvesters over here. These harvesters are in a bad position. MasterLeaf is probably going to take them out. There it is. There goes one harvester, probably two harvesters here in a second as he backs his way out. The forces have continued continued their assault on top of MasterLeaf's base. That Purifier is getting taken out. Actually, is that Purifier? Did that Purifier get taken over? Was it mind controlled? I couldn't tell. Either way, it is getting taken out slowly but surely. Seeker Tank dying in the old, or in the new natural expansion of Senna. Flame Tank's moving forward, but they are being attacked by these infantry that are over here. And actually, there's more over here than I realized, as 2 harvesters do get taken out. The Eradicator Hexabot is here, and it's going to be able to get a couple of good kills off here and there, but it's only going to matter so much. Prodigy running its happy little butt away, and MasterLeaf has not been able to harvest his secondary national expansion because he's been building Devastator warships along with these Seeker Tanks, along with these upgrades. Eradicator Hexapod gonna be able to give him some much needed injection of cash. Not $1 million, but definitely a little bit of something that will add up slowly but surely over time. Manspam backs its way off from going into MasterLeaf's base, maybe sensing something coming his way. He does know the Devastator warships are here. He does know the Seeker Tanks are here. And actually, the Manspam might get caught by these units here. Manspam might get caught by these Devastator warships. Couple of whittling down shots here and there, and MasterLeaf not paying attention to at least one of his Devastator warship turning around there at the very end. Devastator warships having the range to continue this assault, being the artillery for the Scrin. Eradicator Hexapod here for the defense inside the secondary natural expansion. That's going to be good for him. One Seeker Tank does move its way in to get some scouting off to see what is around. Like, for example, that Redeemer backed up by all of these forces. MasterLeaf has a good chunk build up. And oh no, there are the Mantis start taking out the Devastator warship. Devastator warship did get taken out there. Them doing a really good job doing those Mantis doing a really good job of mopping up at least one of those Devastator warships quick and in a hurry. But if MasterLeaf is not careful, he's going to end up with some craziness on his front doorstep. Eradicator Hexapod is making its way over there, but I'm not sure if it's going to be on time. Seeker Tanks here for the defense for these Devastator warships. It looked like another one did go down when we were further over on the left-hand side. Senna beginning his assault in earnest, has plenty of purifiers, has that Rage Gen ready for the Redeemer. Eradicator Hexapod moving its way in, getting a couple good shots. Oh, hopefully it can get a couple of these Mantises. Excuse me. I have been casting for 3 hours. That's long, at least for me. The assault is continuing over on MasterLeaf's base. Devastator warships are here, but so are the Mantises, and there's no defense for the Devastator warships as they get killed left and right. There goes 2, there goes 3. Almost all of the Devastator warships are absolutely destroyed, absolutely eviscerated by MasterLeaf. MasterLeaf is losing this engagement slowly but surely. He does have the Eradicator Hexapod here in the front map, but I don't think he has the money, and he does not have the will to win this match. He's thrown in the towel, giving Senna another victory, giving Senna another win, another point, which means we might see Senna and we might see MasterLeaf both again. Speaking of seeing each other again, I'll see you in match number 8. Here is Tournament LA. Over in the south, we have MasterLeaf hanging on to the color that he's held onto this for the time being. He's moved on to Black Hand this time around, no Traveler 59, and Senna has moved actually to Steel Talons, maybe anticipating MasterLeaf's Black Hand. Maybe he's going to use Wolverines like he did before. Either way, MasterLeaf seems to be wanting to be over with this one quick and in a hurry, as he's been able to spam out a good chunk of resources. I think probably doing an all-in. Yep, that does appear to be the case. He sold off his MCV. Senna getting a little bit of scout off, probably going to see that the sell-off did happen, but at the very least, he's going to see all of these units happening his way. Does he have enough time to stop MasterLeaf from who's about to be on his front doorstep with a staggering number of units? There is a watchtower there for defense, but he's going to need more than just the one watchtower. There is a second one. There is a single Wolverine. You better pop out those Wolverines like your life depends on it, because it definitely does. Senna, you're gonna have to deal with MasterLeaf. Hopefully you have the forces, but we'll get to see here in a minute. There's the body block by the power plant as a third watchtower pops its way out, but the body block is destroyed just as quickly as it pops its way out. Wolverine moving its way in. Secondary body block. Fourth watchtower is out here. Senna is serious about the defense, and the forces for MasterLeaf are beginning to dwindle down just a little bit. Another power plant is taken out. Another harvester is destroyed here in a second, but MasterLeaf's forces are beginning to dwindle down, and this is an all-in. If he doesn't get anything done, he might have some problems. He does have a couple of more reinforcements and probably a refinery up back at his main base. No, actually, he does not have a refinery. This is all he's got. If he doesn't win this assault, he loses the game. Watchtower after watchtower gets taken out. Harvester gets harvested. Harvester gets destroyed. More rocket squads moving their way in. More watchtowers going down. No Wolverines are here for it because Senna cannot harvest any of his resources. He cannot return anything in. War Factory is getting targeted down, and MasterLeaf might have actually been able to pull this around. Might have actually been able to get an early win on Senna, getting another victory. There is the deployment of the barracks and the sell-off of the barracks, the sell-off of the power plant. Watchtower is up, and MasterLeaf, I believe, has all but won this. I'm not sure what Senna is able to do. He's able to get a couple of watchtowers here and there, but he's going to lose his last lifeline here any moment. MasterLeaf going for the refinery, going for the throat, going for the last lifeline of Senna. That Harvester is going to try to go for the crush, and it is going to get a couple of them here and there. That might be enough to save him. Who knows? This could still be anybody's game. I say that as that last Harvester dies, and that last Harvester gets sold off, giving MasterLeaf the win, giving us a even set of eight out of each of these three matches we got to see today. MasterLeaf and Senna truly going for blow in this one. Truly more of an even matchup, I feel, when I get to see these two players fight each other. We got to see good combinations back and forth. MasterLeaf seems a little bit more practiced this much further into all of these matches, and his performance definitely reflects that. Either way, thank you so much for tuning in, Commander. I have been your host, Korak. Transmission out.